traffic.
Broadcasting from the 92.3 The Fan Studios, fueled by True North Convenience Stores. This is where Cleveland comes to talk Browns football. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan, WKRK-FM and HD1 Cleveland Heights. An Odyssey Sports Station.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
Browns are officially on summer break after they wrapped up their last day of mandatory minicamp yesterday. Head coach Todd Monken didn't name a starting quarterback this week, despite wanting to have a QB depth chart set by the end of minicamp. And speaking with the media yesterday, he was asked if he thought that was an issue.
It would be if I didn't think either one of them were capable of starting. It would feel different if I didn't feel like their progression hadn't gotten to this point where I think they both can start and play winning football. I'm convinced of it. I'd say it if I didn't. I can't decide now because I think both have earned the opportunity to continue to compete once we put the pads on.
The team will be back in Berea in a few weeks for training camp. After dropping 6 of their last 7 games, Guardians no longer in first place in the AL Central. They're currently sitting half a game back from the White Sox. The team hoping to get back in the win column tonight when they open up a 3-game weekend series with the Tigers. Detroit will be getting their ace back in the rotation this weekend. A.J. Hinch has announced they plan on starting Tarek Skubal on Saturday. Skubal had been out since April after needing arthroscopic surgery on his left elbow. Some transactional news for the Guardians. They've traded Nolan Jones to the White Sox in exchange for $250,000 in international bonus pool money. The outfielder spent his entire season in Columbus after the team outrighted him off the 40-man roster in March. Guardians drafted Jones in 2016. He made his big league debut in July of 2022. Don't miss Browns GM Andrew Berry live on The Fan today. He'll be joining Anthony and Daryl at 9 a.m. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Meredith Kane.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
It does stand to reason that this is going to be a bit of a mess as we get into training camp. So why not just wait? Why not just wait and see, whether or not the cream rises to the top or somebody wins by default? Well, either way, I never understood the rush to get this settled now.
What do you think you would say to either one of these guys after today? Because after today, they go home. They go home for the next 5-6 weeks. They come back. I'm sure Shedeur will be in town. I don't know what Deshaun Watson will do. That's not a shot. I'm serious.
Yeah,
it seems that Shedeur just stays around here and hangs out and
Deshaun
and
seems
works
to be
out
everywhere
here.
but here.
Yeah.
I will say this for Watson, and I know what his QB guru, his personal coach, Quincy Avery, is that his name?
Yeah.
If we're seeing the mechanics be this bad, maybe Deshaun needs to stay here and work with somebody else.
Possibly,
because
yes.
If those mechanics are still this bad, what I am being told by the people that are there every day and covering them is his athleticism is back. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I did not expect that. You heard him talk yesterday about not being 100%, but if that athleticism is back and we just have to work on mechanics, then we better be going over that stuff like crazy, because then you could maybe salvage something.
I don't care. Whoever gives us the best chance to score. And I won't know that till we play. We don't know this now in shorts, and we may not know it till we play in the preseason games. And even then, there's no guarantee of who you're playing against. The matchups are not always equal. You can decide you're playing their ones and they're not. So ultimately, we take all the information in the offseason and then training camp and then the preseason game and practice and then let it rip.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Well, here we go. Daryl Ryder is in for Kenny. We've got Andrew Berry today at 9. How are we going to fill time till 9 if everything I want to know is not going to be found out until that point? What do I talk about beforehand? Is it my questions for Andrew Berry?
Sure, I think we can just recklessly speculate for 2 hours at least.
I got questions, ladies and gentlemen. I've got questions in my hand. I cannot wait. Oh, wait, that's coming in hot. I've got questions in my hand. You want to confuse those. You think Andrew Berry would participate in Coming in Hot?
Of course.
He's been doing podcasts. He's been everywhere. Meanwhile, Todd Monken lost his voice. I was told erroneously he had lost his voice from screaming at Shedeur at the start of Wednesday's practice. Daryl, you were there. Is it not that? He's actually sick?
He is sick, but can confirm that he does spend a lot of time in practice cussing guys out.
Who has been the target so far? And I know you guys are not necessarily right next to the action on every play.
It's hard
on
to
every
miss.
snap.
I don't think you need to target them, Daryl, but you do need to power them.
Yeah,
Who are those
power
top
rank.
3 cusser outer receivers?
Who's gotten the brunt of most of Todd Monken's voice, which now is gone for the next 5 weeks?
Number 3, the wide receivers.
As a collective.
As a collective.
Okay, that's
Former wide receivers coach, getting in those guys' grill.
Okay.
Number 2, Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
Wow.
Good. Coach him up.
Coaching them up. And number 1, Shedeur Sanders.
Wow. Speculate. 216-474-0092. If he's yelling at Shedeur more, does that mean Shedeur isn't getting the job done? Is it second place in this competition? Or do you bark at the one you think?
See, investing more time into.
Yeah. See, Owen's a coach.
Yeah.
Owen's a coach right there. I always thought you went after the one that you wanted to invest more time in, that you thought had more of a chance, more of a ceiling.
Or maybe Shedeur's just messing up more than the other
Well,
ones.
that's part of it too.
I've always had the theory that I only yell at the ones that I care about, right? So, Dylan, sorry.
So Dylan,
Guess who was not power ranked?
does that mean
Does he know he's on the team?
Coach hasn't said
He's
boo
wearing-
to a goose?
I will say, I
To
think
quote Ken Carman?
Yeah.
I think Dylan Gabriel lost 2 inches wearing number 6.
I'm not gonna sit here for the cheap
side.
shots. I'm not. The poor kid came in here with hope and ambition, and all you guys have done is attack his size, his girlfriend, and quite frankly, I think you're above that. You should be above that.
I have never attacked his girlfriend, and no, I'm not above that.
Well, Dale, you're supposed to be playing it by the books here. You're supposed to be an independent observer, almost like a juror in a matter like this. I mean, we are sitting
Guilty.
here.
He stinks.
Well, who? Which one?
Wow.
Dylan.
Which QB?
Well, can I just go all 3 of them?
Well, get the power rake music going again.
All right.
I don't know if Taylor Green is going to make the cut, but 3 QBs, you seem to think they all stink. Go ahead, Daryl. Power rank them.
Number 3, Deshaun Watson.
He's
No.
the least stinky or most stinky?
The least stinky.
Okay.
The stinkiest is numero uno. Number 2, Shedeur Sanders.
Is he going to do this for Andrew Berry?
And number 1, Dylan Gabriel.
I mean, Andrew Berry is responsible for these guys being here. Some say Kevin Stefanski on at least one of those quarterbacks. But Daryl, I want Andrew to actually call into the show at 9:00. I want this to be appointment listening and appointment viewing for our listeners. I mean, anything you say over the next 3 hours
Will be
could
used against me in a court of law.
Well, it could dissuade him. He might not want to be a part of this. He thought if he's walking into the hot seat like this, I had some nice again. That's coming in hot. I had some nice questions that I thought were going to be good icebreakers, like when I see Andrew Berry at Healthy Kids Running Series, and we've been able to banter about our kids and their gait. I thought that would be fun. No,
interesting.
No, Daryl's going to which of your quarterbacks stinks the least. I mean, again, that's coming in hot. This is Andrew Berry's question. Don't screw that up, Daryl. Anyway,
his young receivers look really good. How about that? How about that to butter things up?
And you said he's been yelling at him a lot, so that's good.
Coaching him up.
216-474-0092. We were told that Todd Monken wanted to have this thing ironed out before the break, before we get into real training camp. That hasn't happened. Is that disappointing to coach?
Oh, I don't see it that way. It would be if I didn't think either one of them were capable of starting. It would feel different if I didn't feel like their progression hadn't gotten to this point where I think they both can start and play winning football. I'm convinced of it, and I'd say it if I didn't. I mean, I can't decide now because I think both have earned the opportunity to continue to compete once we put the pads on. It's hard to really say. It's hard to say, and I mean, whether it would have been a legit pressure, it wouldn't have been. Would he have had all that time? I don't know. There's still a lot to see. Quarterbacks and the O-line, especially once we put the pads on.
Daryl, you have been front and center with Coach every single day, although yesterday you were back and to the left because you're worried about contracting something from Coach?
I just got over mine. I was out hard for about 4 weeks.
So you were a little nervous yesterday.
Yeah, I did not want that back.
You didn't want to be down.
I did not want to spend my summer vacation. Yeah, I didn't want to spend my summer vacation laying in bed ill.
So you're afraid of the coach yesterday.
But he played hurt yesterday. I give Todd a lot of credit. He played hurt. Got through that press conference. I think he had a whole bag of lozenges to get through it.
I could hear the lozenge.
but man, it's a little, for me, it's really disappointing that he can't pick a quarterback. I'm going to put that through a coaching translator. Mm-hmm. Neither one of these guys has distinguished themselves enough to earn the job yet. That's what this whole thing comes down to. This isn't about them. Of course, he's going to come out and say, well, they both have earned that right to compete. They both have been doing some excellent things during the offseason program, and we want to give them an equal opportunity come training camp, put the pads on. Then we'll really see what was a pressure, what would have been a sack or under duress or, hitting the receivers in stride. That's all well and good. That's all coach speak. What this all boils down to very simply is neither one of these guys are at a level where they're going to lead the Browns to wins this fall. They're wildly inconsistent. One day Deshaun Watson looks good. Mostly when there's no defense on the field. That's the good news. The bad news is football's played with the defense on the field. Shedeur Sanders has... I
think 11 guys this year.
Yes.
Is that what the
I do believe 11 guys are allowed on the
competition committee settled on?
So Shedeur Sanders, same thing. Like he has stretches where it looks incredible. But then you get the stretches where wide receivers are missed by 5 yards. And you're like, oof. So when you have the inconsistency that you have, how can you pick either one of these guys? I don't think you have any other choice but to go into training camp with yet another quarterback battle or competition or whatever it is you want to call it. But yeah, there's no consistency practice to practice with these quarterbacks. You can't pick a guy right now. I totally get where Todd Monken's coming from, and he can't get up there and say, yeah, these guys all stink, and I'm having a hard time picking the best of the worst.
All right, so young John, if you were driving in this morning and you were listening to young John, who I believe is getting closer to the probationary period. John produces the show.
Halfway.
And he was in for Jeff Thomas today doing the warm-up show. John, you did extensive prep while you were running those press conferences on your warm-up show, the press conference show. John, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you on my? Okay. So you have some examples of when these quarterback competitions in recent years have been fully fleshed out. What were those dates?
So they were all towards the mid-August, even going back to I think the most famous one is 2024 with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields with the Steelers. That wasn't decided until August 28th. That's the best one. Those are the two. If I'm looking at the most recent ones, other than Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield with the Panthers, that was August 22nd of 2022, by the way. You're looking at all these guys. Those two are the most high-profile quarterback controversies. Why are we so in a hurry to name a quarterback now?
So I'm not. It would have been awesome had somebody come in and just wowed the socks off of Todd Monken. Oh, and you seem...
Well, it's not... I don't think that any of us are in a hurry to name the quarterback. The coach came out and said he wanted to name the quarterback. Had he not said that, I don't think anybody would have thought before August it would even be a deal.
Remember, everything you say can and will be used against you. That is the perfect example.
I'm not gonna crush him. When he said it at the time, I was
it's crushing time, Anthony. We got 5 weeks of crushing.
Well, I think here's what happened. When he said that, you remember Mary Kay had that first report. And I talked to Mary Kay. I talked to Mary Kay behind the scenes about that report. It was not something out of thin air. When she said that Deshaun Watson looked to be in the lead, I think a lot of people had heard Todd say what he said and wondered, was this thing preordained? Was it engineered ahead of time? But it does seem like there's been ample back and forth, ample splitting of the refs. Daryl, you're there every day. Shedeur has absolutely been given a chance. And now, has he run with it? Your four eyes have been there every day. I mean, what do you think? Or has Deshaun taken a step back? Or do you think it's great competition like the coaches said, where I got two NFL quality caliber starters on this team?
He doesn't have two NFL caliber starters on this team. I think if you put Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson and Dylan Gabriel into a blender, maybe you get one.
Oh, come on.
But
what's he supposed?
What's he
blender.
Now we're blending him.
What's he supposed to say?
NutriBullet.
Deshaun is healthy, so that's a positive for Deshaun.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I don't know if it's a positive for the Browns, but it's a positive for Deshaun. My preference is to just let Shedeur start this thing. But I think when the dust settles, your week 1 starter will be Deshaun Watson. And he will be given a little bit of a leash to get as deep into the season as humanly possible. If he plays well, he keeps the job. If he doesn't, they'll make a change. You're going to see both of these quarterbacks this year. Like, book it. You will see Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders start. That is, unless they trade Shedeur. But
trade Shedeur? Why'd you throw that in? Boy, that came out of nowhere. That came unprovoked.
Hey, if you can trade Myles Garrett, you can trade Shedeur Sanders, okay? That's where I'm at right now.
All right, but Daryl, I mean, Myles Garrett, you were going to get a haul for. We knew he wanted to be on a contender.
Never underestimate the power of another 6th or 7th round draft pick.
Well, wait a second. Where does this come from, Shedeur? Because I mean, I know some of his fans, if he doesn't get the starting job,
I'm saying that's the
out.
only way he's not going to start this year is if they trade him. That's the only way he won't start this year, is if he's not on the team.
Let's go to Bobby in Akron. Go ahead, Bobby. How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing this morning?
Nice to hear your voice.
I had a question for you guys.
Sure.
I wanted to see if you thought that if Deshaun started, it would bring a little bit more closure to the Kevin Stefanski situation, because it's been driving me nuts for the past 4 years on trying to figure out who to blame. So I'd like to see Deshaun with a different offense, a different coach, and then I think that might be able to provide a little bit of closure on if it was Stefanski's fault, if it was Deshaun's fault for sucking. And
now let me ask you this, Bobby. Let me play devil's advocate. I saw Bijan Robinson, 9th in MVP odds to start the year. What happens if Kevin Stefanski has a good year in Atlanta? Does that provide closure at all?
No, not to me, really. It's the question that's been driving me nuts, and I think a lot of other Browns fans, is we want someone to point the finger at. And Ken brought it up yesterday when he was talking about Parker Brailsford, a 5th-round center. I think Deshaun Watson is the key to that. And giving him another go with another coach, another offense, and let's just see what happens. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Bobby in Akron. Daryl, your thoughts?
I don't.
Do you need closure on the Kevin Stefanski situation?
My closure on the Kevin Stefanski era came when they fired him.
When he
that's your closure. He doesn't coach here anymore.
When we had
why are we
tabloid media filming him out the door from a distance, leaving Berea in the parking lot for the last time?
Got to get the shot of them carrying the boxes full of all his belongings.
You know, this shows you how soft the media is. They used to go to the door, to the house of the coach when they would get fired. They used to go to the house. And by the way, we knew where Kevin lived.
Yeah.
Nobody went to his house. They respected his privacy.
I thought you and Ken got invited to Thanksgiving dinner.
I mean, I had gone by the house a few times just to, see what they were working on. I mean, when I see a porta potty out front, now my wife knows where all the porta potties are on the west side. Why, Daryl, you ask?
Because you have kids?
No, okay, not a bad one, but because on her runs, not all the bathrooms are open all year round. So she needs to find the porta potties just in case.
You can't do this at the end of the segment.
216-474-0092. Don't forget, Andrew Barry joins the show at 9 o'clock.
Is that a question you're going to ask him? Do you know where the porta potties are on the west side?
She wanted to start an app. She wanted to come up with an app and literally fund, which, it costs like, just to start out, just to have a conversation about an app, $100,000. She wanted me to.
You could carry that.
She wanted me to raise $100,000 to start an app for runners to identify where the porta potties are.
You got that in the checking account. What's the big deal?
We got to go. Oh, we can't talk about the porta potties anymore. We can't go. We've got Coach Riz at 8:20 every day. He sends a magical text to every person who works at the station and acknowledges his existence on which quarterback is doing better. Who did he think did better yesterday? Who does he think is going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns? But when we come back, we will hear more from Todd Monken on how these QBs are doing right now. That's coming up straight away here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. It's Anthony Lima for Fanatics Sportsbook. Ladies and gentlemen, the difference with Fanatics.
Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
They don't get veteran days off. We might monitor the reps, but they're going to be dressed. That's what you do as a team. Everybody's dressed. Again, we might monitor the reps. Or medically. I don't do that. Medical decides that. But there are no vet days off.
No vet days off. Music to the ears of Browns fans. The 537 boys. The hardcore Cleveland Browns fans. The longtime season ticket holders that have worked their way up with their hard scrabble lives. No vet days off, Daryl.
Uh-huh.
By the way, Jeff
Right.
Thomas and Ken Carman off today.
Do you believe there are no vet days off? I got some beachfront property for you in Denver, Colorado to sell you.
What's that supposed to mean, Daryl?
There will be vet days off.
You think so?
Yes.
Well, obviously.
I mean, they'll probably be disguised as a sore ankle or a sore knee or a shoulder, but they'll be veteran days off.
He did kind of walk it back a little on saying that, like, well, they're going to put on the pad. They're going to put everything on.
Yeah, I can't say what he said walking away from the podium, but
Yeah, you can, Daryl. You can say it once.
Actually, no, I can't. But I wouldn't work here anymore. As he walked away from the podium, he realized he stepped in it by saying that. By speaking in an absolute, because you can't speak in absolutes as a coach.
No, look, Todd's going to have a bunch of those this year, which is.
I mean, Owen can speak in absolutes, but that's Owen.
I would never do that.
Of course not. He wouldn't. It's because he's a professional. But I think Todd realized, maybe there will be a vet day off here.
Yeah, well, obviously, like the famous vet day off that I know there were some people in this town that tried to make a big deal of it back in the day. I don't think young Anthony Lima would have ever made a big deal of this.
You don't think Denzel Ward's going to get a day off in training camp?
Yeah. Well,
But who are the vets that you would even point to?
Yeah, who's left?
It's after Denzel, like who's the one that you'd go, that guy deserves a day off here and there?
Yeah, Grant Delpit seems to take his own time off right now.
Interesting.
Jared Vernon, maybe? Or Jared Verse? Yeah.
Who is in the secondary? Who do we have actually helping
Tyson
out the
Campbell,
football
player.
team?
Really wonderful player.
Well, he's considered a veteran now.
Yeah. At least on this team, he is.
Obviously, back in the day, like Joe Thomas, this is before Young John's time, but because the Browns were losing, people would point to Joe showing up basically on Thursday, it would seem.
There was a lot that was unsaid that we found out much later. He was doing it on torn patella tendons.
Yes.
Rehabbing.
Yeah.
Rehabbing.
Same thing with Joel Batonio. We'd act like he was getting veteran days off during the season, and then it turns out, well, he would wake up Monday morning and could not walk.
Right. And obviously a fine line between making sure to preserve guys, but also what happens when the soft tissue stuff starts happening. Well, they don't practice hard enough.
Well, let's put
so
it this
there's always that give and take.
I know two players who will not be getting veteran days off. Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. They need all the practice they can get.
Okay, so I want to get back to this because obviously this is the only thing now people care about other than, hey, how the rookies looking, how the second-year guy. Like that's every camp in the NFL.
They're looking pretty good.
And we'll get to that. We have
It's looking very good for Andrew Berry right now with his with the young players.
Well, that's good to hear. And we'll talk to Andrew Berry at 9, but also some wide receiver discussion. As I heard interesting conversation about Isaiah Bond yesterday in afternoons. You have those young rookies that people are thrilled to get to meet this year in training camp. I think all eyes are going to be on them as well.
By the way, Isaiah Bond, best footwear of minicamp with the 007 shoes. Phenomenal.
You know the shoe game, Daryl?
Well, no, not really, but those were hard to miss.
Okay. Are there Bond villains on each one of the shoes?
It's the the opening sequence to the Bond movies where you see down the barrel. Yeah, pretty cool.
Okay. I thought it would be cool if he would have a different Bond, like George Lazenby would be on one shoe and Roger Moore on another.
He also has the 007 tattoo on his neck.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I don't stare at their necks.
It's hard to miss.
I'm not a neck person.
It's pretty impressive artwork.
Daryl, this is all new information to me. I haven't paid this close of attention.
I mean, you realize you got to start assembling your 007 James Bond references.
Do you have a favorite Bond movie?
Skyfall.
Whoa, that was quick. You don't like any of the oldies?
We've done enough power rankings today.
Yeah, I couldn't stand the Pierce Brosnan and Bond movies growing up, other than the one Halle Berry was in.
What about the Timothy Dalton?
Yeah, pass.
Owen didn't know I went this deep in the weeds.
I'm just surprised. Well, DeJuan hasn't been out there, right? He is from Indiana. Why doesn't he wear Indiana Jones cleats?
Let's see. 216-474-0092. Daryl, are you somebody who believes that the quarterback is not only the face of the franchise, is supposed to be the undisputed leader, but is the ambassador to the fans? The reason I ask that question, obviously, is we've got somebody on this roster who's vying for starting quarterback who they tore all his signs down.
Yeah.
Who the owner quite publicly said swing and miss on the deal, and then we know about the baggage he carried into his Browns existence.
Right.
Are you somebody who believes that?
Yes, I do think that in the NFL, your quarterback typically is the face of your franchise. Now, in the Browns, looking at the Browns, they've never really been able to do that. I mean, they got to do it a little bit with Baker Mayfield for a few years, but it's always been Joe Thomas, Myles Garrett, Joe Hayden, DeQuell Jackson, Phil Dawson, Josh Cribbs. Like, those were the faces of your franchise because they couldn't find a quarterback. And I think this year, right now, I don't know if they have a face of the franchise yet. Maybe it's Jared Verse because you traded Miles for him, right? Bitonio retired, so you have to set that aside. Maybe it's Denzel Ward because he's a Northeast Ohio kid, Ohio State Buckeye, former number 4 overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft. He's a perennial Pro Bowler, arguably the best corner in the National Football League. I mean, look, last year they weren't even throwing to his side of the field. That's how much respect for him, and also how much disrespect teams had for the other corners on that defense. But yeah, they don't have a face of the franchise right now.
Well, does it matter to head coach Todd Monken on who the face of the franchise is at quarterback?
I don't care. Whoever gives us the best chance to score. And I won't know that till we play. We don't know this now in shorts, and we may not know it till we play in the preseason games. And even then, there's no guarantee of who you're playing against. The matchups are not always equal. You can decide you're playing their ones and they're not. So ultimately, we take all the information in the offseason and then training camp and then the preseason game and practice and then let it rip.
Daryl, quickly, because I know we got to go, but this matters to some Browns fans.
Yeah. And it's why some Browns fans do not want Deshaun Watson to win this quarterback competition.
But should it matter to Todd?
No, it shouldn't. Best player should matter to Todd. Todd can't concern himself with everything going on outside the walls, what you and I are saying, what fans are saying. No, it's about best player.
Well, I find it very interesting. And look, you're asking a new head coach to come in here. There is a background, right?
There's a lot of PTSD and trauma and scar tissue. And yeah, it's been rough here.
And so imagine you're Todd Monken, and he's trying not to concern himself with what the fans want. You can't be the coach that comes in trying to care about what that was Freddie. Freddie came in doing that stuff.
How'd that work out for him?
Right. Well, how does it work for a lot of these guys that want to cater to the masses and be a populist? And,
what's the old saying? Once you start listening to the fans, you're about to become one of them.
Did Daryl coin that term? I think Daryl was the first to coin that term on this station.
Yes.
I think you were.
No, I am not the first to say that.
So, but you're right, obviously, right? No, this is what's so tough, I think, for Todd. Kind of puts him in a tough spot. When the owner says one thing, when even Andrew Berry hasn't totally 100% moved on because obviously the contract's the contract, and Deshaun Watson's still here. But what are you supposed to do if you're Todd? Because the one thing that anybody who's been in a football locker room has told us, whether it's Baldinger, whether it's Coach Riz, who we'll have on later on 820, any of these guys that have been in those wars and in the locker rooms, they've all said the same thing. Can't lie to the players.
No.
So this whole tie goes to the younger guy.
Especially when Myles Garrett's in the locker room, right?
I'm just
sorry. Deep cut from last season.
Yeah,
Have I ever lied to you? Miles' eyes get really wide.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, fans aren't in the locker room, and this whole something that I've said, Ken said, we've all said, well, the tie goes to Shedeur. There's no such thing as a tie. There's no such thing as a tie. It's BS. That doesn't exist.
I don't think the tie goes to anyone because there is no tie. There's no tie here. And I'll be honest with you, I do think that Todd Monken has an idea.
What do you mean there's no tie?
No.
You think somebody's in the lead right now?
I think somebody's in the lead. I think Todd Monken is going into training camp with an idea of how this thing's going to shake out, but he wants to go through the process to see if that actually happens and give everyone, in this case Deshaun and Shedeur, an equal opportunity to show whether or not they can do this thing.
All right, more on that in just a second. 216-474-0092. Does it matter to the fans whether or not that quarterback could be the face of the franchise, even though we know what that one quarterback job applicant, what he does bring to the table? And she's worth every penny. Is she the most underpaid performer in all of sports? We have the contract. That's coming straight ahead on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Here with Ari, owner of Poochers.
Cabinet. Tell your contractor you want Choice Cabinet or visit the Warrensville Heights showroom today. Start your dream project at choicecabinet.com.
Sign up to be a part of the fan club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
We got Coach Riz, 8:20. We've got Andrew Barry at 9 o'clock. I've got questions. We have it ready to go. Some of these cut deep. But fortunately, Andrew Barry's a professional, and he will be able to handle all of this. Jonathan Pearlin apparently ripped me up and down without using my name. That's coming up in 15 minutes, and it has to do with, you guessed it, Shedeur Sanders. 216-474-0092. Before we get back into the Browns, I have a contract. I have a contract, Daryl.
Well, congratulations to you
No,
on all of your success.
No. This isn't my contract.
Was this gonna fund your wife's porta potty app?
Listen, I guess now that I said it over the air, if somebody wants
I can have this built before the show's over.
Well, we have to outsource a lot of it. Unfortunately, that's how a lot of those apps are made. You'll have to go use the rewind function and go to the end of the first segment. But
the one that's brought to you by Integrated Restorations?
That's the one.
Yeah, okay.
That is the one.
Do you want to finish that?
Your
read
local
for me?
experts in water, fire, storm, and disaster restoration.
Boom. That's how you check things off.
Appreciate that, 645. So we finally have something that was fairly elusive. And I'm telling you, me and my buddies have had text messages about this. And that, of course, is how much Red Panda gets paid, the unicycle lady, to go out and perform at halftime of NBA games and other sporting events. If you've never seen it, we always got to do the disclaimer. She goes out there with her plates.
Bowls.
Her bowls, and then they toss them up into the air, and she catches them where, Daryl?
With her feet and her head.
It's one of the most miraculous things you've ever seen.
On like a 15-foot unicycle or a 12-foot unicycle.
And it's never gotten old.
She catches them with her hands, puts them on her leg or foot, and then she uses her leg to flip them up on top of her head. It's incredible.
Which they say, in some countries, every child is born with a soccer ball in their crib. In this country, it's a football. Wherever she is from, it's the bowls. And she's the one that emerged from everybody.
It's the best halftime show running in the NBA currently.
For decades. Well, the Quick Change people,
Quick Change
rest
would
in
love
peace.
a conversation. I thought they were great in their prime.
They were amazing, but it would have been the ultimate trick.
And you're paying for two.
You're paying for two, and it would have been the ultimate trick if that was at the... Did they dissolve, or did one of them pass away? Well, I'm just wondering. I need to know why it ended. I don't know if that ended amicably or if there was tragedy.
I'm pretty sure one of them passed away.
So the Quick Change was there was a breath and then there wasn't. So I love Red Panda. It's my favorite act. We've talked about it incessantly over the years, and we have the contract. Daryl, what do you think Red Panda gets paid every time? Some people don't get out of bed for less than $100. Some people don't get out of bed for less than $500. What do you think Red Panda gets paid?
Well, I was just thinking with her national tour, she definitely brings home six figures. Going to all 30 NBA, 28 NBA, all the NBA arenas. Plus, you got to think if she's doing playoff games, there's a bonus in there. If she does the NBA Finals, there's got to be a bonus in there. Like
she's been at some of the biggest sporting events known to mankind.
I mean, she was here for the Cavs playoffs. I posted the video. There's another phenomenal performance by her.
All right, it's been 25 plus years, right?
Moondog absolutely killed it, feeding her the bowls.
The original LeBron experience.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s. She was there.
Yes, she was.
And here we are in 2026. And we were worried. We were concerned because it wasn't, 5 years ago? Right before COVID.
She got hurt.
She was struggling. She had her unicycle stolen. And she was all bandaged up. And we were wondering, was she past her prime? And this last act of her career has been very LeBron-esque.
She's finishing
amazing.
strong.
So according to Matt Brown, who filed a Freedom of Information Act request.
That's what we're using it.
How do you file a Freedom of Information request?
I don't know if it was Red Panda specifically or all unicycle-based entertainers.
She must have done something for the government then? Is that how this information was obtained? Because I don't know why a team would have to answer a Freedom of Information request.
Wouldn't that be great if she's been involved in high-level espionage? Anyway, her fee per appearance, $6,765.
That's it?
I thought it was way more. Now, obviously,
I thought it was at least 10.
Daryl, I mean, she works during NBA season. It's every night.
Yeah.
I mean, she's traveling to the next city by the third quarter.
I mean, the jet lag itself is taxing. She does not ride her unicycle arena to arena.
She probably started her career doing that and realized eventually she needs better transportation.
You get there a little faster when you take an airplane?
The performance description. Red Panda Acrobat rides a 7-foot unicycle, kicks several bowls at a time into the air, lands them in an ever-growing and wobbly stack of bowls on her head. Each successive flip is done with a greater number of bowls. Red Panda Acrobat will leave your crowd breathless. I agree. I don't disagree with any of that.
I just want to know where this Freedom of Information Act request was filed.
You mean which state?
Yeah, like why did this come out? What prompted this? What government function did she work?
I think this Matt Brown
was she doing bowl flips on the White House lawn? Was she at a university?
Wouldn't count it out.
She do it at a university? Is that why this was done? Because public university?
It probably was because Matt Brown, who did this, also has the contract for Steve Max, as we all know, the master of Simon Says.
The Simon Says guy?
Yes, the Simon Says guy.
This is an agreement between him and Texas A&M.
What's he getting paid?
Simon Says, tell me how much does he make?
$32.50.
You didn't say Simon Says on. Stop. Simon Says go. Additional notes. This is for Red Panda. We need a space near the performance area where the unicycle can be set up. We will also need someone to help throw the ceramic bowls up to our performer during the performance.
John Fanta got to do that.
Yes.
I think Jason Lloyd's done it as well.
John Fanta has, I think, lived out the dream of many Red Panda fans to be able to throw her the bowls.
Fanta, the bowls and doing Kentucky Derby, talking to the mayor of the infield.
That man is living life right now.
He's going to start charging. He's going to be the halftime show at some point. One other note, she also receives one hotel room. So who's she traveling with? Like, where's her traveling party? Whoever's helping out, where's her roadie?
No, you provide the helper.
Yeah, you do all that.
Got to store the unicycle somewhere on the road.
It also says she seeks one hot meal and refreshment per person. So when she's doing the oatmeal, I mean, she's got to be kicking that up, and she's got to be honing her craft because she can't let this skill get away from her.
Matt Brown also, in his article, I have a contract here for, of course, premier halftime shows and Mutt's Gone Nuts.
What do the dogs get?
$3,500.
Yeah, she's at the top of the ladder, right?
Wait a minute, dogs only
top
make
of the unicycle.
How do dogs only make $3,500?
Well, they've unionized too. So, Derek and Dayton, go ahead.
Nuts.
Yeah, she's making way more than that. She does all the college games. She does Dayton, Cincinnati, Xavier, IU. She's doing so many dates.
What do you think, Derek?
What she makes.
What do you think at the end of the year? What tax bracket are we talking here? Where's she at?
$500,000.
Yeah, I kind of feel like she has to be.
Yeah, easily. I mean, all those acts do all the colleges too. I know Cleveland's not much of a college basketball town, but she makes her tour.
Yeah, has she ever done Cleveland State basketball?
All right, Derek, thank you very much. We'll see you at the play-in tournament. What's that?
Has she ever done Cleveland State basketball halftime?
I think she's too big.
Yeah. But they
can't blow their budget on her.
I wonder.
They would fill that arena, though.
You're right. That's probably from a college, and so that's probably a low number.
So you think it's...
I would imagine that
she'll be at the NBA
playoff game.
Although, you saw it. They had Wu-Tang at the last NBA Finals game. So they've gone away from the traditional halftime
when you're splitting
shows.
it between 14 people.
Well, I mean, the Cavs have had the "this is how we do it" people like at least 4 times. for halftime.
Well, when they did Miami and they had the whole Miami sound machine, that just
I mean,
it's too many mouths to feed.
The conga line gets going.
I mean, how can you not enjoy 10 minutes of This Is How We Do It? That's the only song they sing, and they do it for 10 minutes.
Have the Cavs had Skilo?
Well, we had Fetty Wap in the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's a name, though.
Yeah.
He was also at forward.
Now, does he get paid per functional eye? All right, when we come back, Daryl Ryder is in for Ken Carman, and I want to hear what Daryl has to say about this because apparently I was attacked by Jonathan Peterlin on the thought that it might be better for one of the quarterbacks to come off the bench. Wait till you hear this, plus Coach Riz at 8:20 and Andrew Barry at 9 o'clock on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
This is an Odyssey Sports
Headline Sports News every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Meredith Kane.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
All right, Dale Ryder in for Ken Carman on a Friday. They're asking the question. They're begging to know, will there be a coming in hot today? I mean, fair warning, we will get off it. It'll be diabolical question time. Right. If we got to hit the dump button twice immediately, that'll be it. That'll be the end of all the fun. And so
we are not doing coming in hot during Andrew Berry's interview at 9 o'clock.
We can ask him if he wants to be a party to it a little bit later on. I mean, that's fine with me.
I think Andrew can be a fun guy. Might have a coming in hot for you.
I've seen a different side of Andrew.
As have I.
You know, so many of these guys, they just, I guess this is part of staying power. I mean, he's been here 6 years. So you think, all right, maybe he gets a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
But Kevin never did.
Oh, no.
With a microphone in front of him.
Yeah, Kevin was afraid of his own shadow if there was a microphone around. Off mic, Kevin was absolutely hilarious, but
he wasn't Todd. Todd exudes like real guy, literally at the end of the bar that you'd be throwing stuff by him,
and he definitely talks like someone sitting at the end of the bar as well.
Yeah, the no filter part of it, which we'll see when
Todd Monken unfiltered is priceless.
And when he got hired, you know, I wondered because he's never been the head coach of an NFL team. He's had all these other roles. He's obviously ascended. He's someone who, let's be honest, should have probably got a head coaching job by now in the NFL. He's well heralded around the league. This isn't a Freddie Kitchens thing. Like this, sorry to say that about Freddie, but Freddie wasn't getting any other jobs. He still would have had to work his way up. Todd, the way people talk about him around the league is somebody who I'm a little surprised. I've thrown it out there before. Is it because he is so truthful? Like the league doesn't love that. I mean, Rex Ryan was somebody who got to be like that.
I said this shortly after he got hired. One of Todd Monken's best qualities is that he is brutally honest. It is also one of his worst qualities because in the National Football League, especially in front of cameras and microphones, you know, coaches are not brutally honest. I mean, Andrew Berry, with all due respect, he's not brutally honest when we talk to him. He keeps things close to the vest, as he should, as he has to, as the GM. Like, you can't come out and say, yeah, we're definitely trading Myles Garrett. You can't do that. You'll lose all your leverage. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we've already traded the number 2 pick, and the Jaguars are taking Travis Hunter with it. Like, you can't. So there has to be a certain level of public deception out there to maintain your competitive advantage. Now, there are folks in the league that have taken it to the extreme degree. See Bill Belichick, see Eric Mangini, okay? And a lot of the guys that fell off the Belichick tree that have all tried to be Bill 2.0. But yeah, there is a certain level of deception that you have to present front-facing to the public. That's part of the job. I mean, I make fun of it, but that doesn't mean I don't respect it or don't understand it. Because I do. It's essential.
Well, I thought you could tell him talking about Myles Garrett. His body language, it's just always adding up to me to be that a trade was coming.
Well, the last time Todd was asked about Myles, he had the body language and the expression of like, why would I have talked to him at this point in person? Like, right? I mean, think about it. Not on the golf course, not hours before the thing broke that Myles had been traded, even though the rumors were swirling. But I'm talking about the previous media availability where like he was almost annoyed. Like, why would you ask me such a stupid question? Of course I've not met face to face with Myles Garrett. like
I just thought you could. It wasn't a big reach, even though every day we were being told by fans of the show, we love you guys, but every day it was a reach that we were talking about Myles getting traded. I'm like, he's getting traded. Like,
Andrew,
how are you guys not seeing this? I get it. You're emotional. You're a fan base, but I've been through this stuff before. I've seen how this works. I've seen how everybody. I do the math on this thing.
Do you not know who represents Myles Garrett?
And the day the contract got restructured. I mean, all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. It all added up. And so I was confused. The guy who sits in your seat he admitted it afterwards. He just didn't want to.
He was in denial until the moment.
He was in denial. Meanwhile, no denial from Jonathan Peterlin, afternoon show yesterday, who he was talking about, when he brought up that he didn't necessarily think it was smart, the thought that people like me had put out there, that maybe it would make sense for Shedeur Sanders to come off the bench to start the year. Here's JP in the afternoon.
I don't love the narrative that if Shedeur doesn't win the job, somehow that's best for him. I just fundamentally disagree with the idea that not getting an opportunity and waiting for week 8 or 9 or 10 is what's best in anyone's interest when they're trying to be an NFL starter. I'm just going to call it stupid to think that it somehow benefits a player to sit on the bench and watch somebody else be given an opportunity because of the development that'll attach to it, or the offensive line development, or the wide receivers, all this other hogwash that can be attached to this. It's somehow going to be better to watch Deshaun Watson start week 1. I just can't get behind it.
I am usually pro, give quarterbacks a little bit time to develop if it's in the right situation. I think when you have Jordan Love backing up Aaron Rodgers, you can learn a lot watching Aaron Rodgers play quarterback and how he handles himself. Maybe not off the field handles himself, but on the field, he's obviously a great player. Sitting and learning behind Deshaun Watson, who has played 19 games in 4 years, has constantly been injured. Has not operated the offense to the effect that it was supposed to be operated with Kevin Stefanski. What are you learning?
So that was yesterday afternoon show. And Daryl, I obviously disagree because I've said for the last 2 weeks that I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world if he doesn't win this starting job.
I don't think it's a failure. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world either, but I understand where Jonathan's coming from. And I have been very clear that I would much rather give Shedeur Sanders the opportunity in week 1 to start because I think there's more to be gained from it than starting Deshaun Watson. I don't know that either one of these guys elevates your team. I don't know that either one of these guys gives you a better chance to win. I don't know that either one of these guys gives you a better chance to score. What I do know, watching Shedeur last year in the fourth quarter, and I realized that he only won 3 of his starts, but guess what? That is 3 more starts than a lot of his predecessors won that season. And then also, 2, they were in a lot of games. When he was on the field late in games, in the final 3-4 minutes of a game last season, I legit thought the Browns had a chance to win.
Is that because they had Myles Garrett on the team?
No.
Because that's why I thought they had a chance to win.
No. And
it wasn't because of the quarterback.
No, case in point, look at the Ravens game. He came within a PBU of forcing overtime in that game. Walked them right down the field. They had a shot. And that's all you can ask for, is a chance. Now, hopefully next time Shedeur is in that situation, it goes better and he completes the pass and you get the touchdown and what. But when he's on the field, I just have a stronger belief that they at least have a chance. Now, there's also the hold your breath.
Are you saying compared to Dylan or everybody that was here last year or
anyone in that room right now? I have no confidence that Deshaun Watson is going to be able to return to a shadow of what he was. And I know a lot of folks want to take that as me just throwing shade at Deshaun or hating on Deshaun. No, I'm just being realistic about the situation. The guy hasn't played tangible, meaningful football since the 2020 season, okay? Took 2021 off voluntarily, was suspended for 11 games in 2022, broke his shoulder. Ruptured his Achilles, not once but twice. It's been 6 years. He's played 19 games in 6 years. I don't think it's fair or realistic to expect that Deshaun is going to be able to return to that. And that's why I can't be super hypercritical of him in practice either. He's got a lot of rust to knock off. And oh, by the way, every time Deshaun has come back from meaningful time off, whether it was from the suspension, right? We were making excuses starting with that Washington game. Oh, he hasn't played in a year and a half, and he's got to shake off the rust
Texans
and get his
game. The first game that he had with the Browns was awful.
He's got to get his timing back, whatever, right? Coming off the shoulder injury, same thing, same excuses, same justification for the for the poor performances. I have he looks great when there's no defense in 7-on-7, okay? When it's just receivers v. cornerbacks, Deshaun looks really good. That's when he looks at his best. You put a defensive line on the field, he's killing worms. He's missing receivers by 5 yards. Like, it's not pretty.
Well, so he didn't factor into this discussion at all when I said it might benefit Shedeur to come off the bench. And here's all I'm doing. I'm just, in my mind, I'm already going to exactly what the Shedeur fans are going to say. If he starts the season and struggles, what are their fans going to say? They're all the things that you could totally see happening beforehand, which is, well, the new offensive line. I mean, they threw 5 guys together and just had made it work. Todd Monken's first games as a head coach, he had never done this before. You know, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, this is all new to them. Like, go by one. Look at all the young skill position players. They weren't supposed to win right away. If he starts out 1-4,
excuses are built in.
1-5, there's all the excuses. Well, this is what I'm trying to avoid, not hearing from the Shedeur fans. What I'm trying to avoid is him starting out 1-5, losing the job, and then what does that mean for his career?
Well,
who else is going to give him a shot? What other teams are going to be salivating to add him after he was statistically one of the worst rookies in modern NFL history at quarterback last year?
Yeah, and I don't know.
He was a 5th-round pick that got passed over how many times by the decision makers in the league. What do you think they're going to do this time?
Yeah, I don't know if the Browns want to kill his trade value. I'll just say that, number one. Number two, the easy path is start to Deshaun and then move to Shedeur in season rather than start to Shedeur.
Well, that's what Albert Breer has said too.
Shedeur and then move back to Deshaun. So the easy path right now is Deshaun starts week 1. That's the easiest route for the Browns to take. And quite frankly, I think that's the one that they are going to take.
All right, 216-474-0092. Might Shedeur Sanders benefit from starting the season as the backup? We'll get to that. We got Coach Riz at 8:20, Andrew Berry at 9 o'clock. But when we come back, Daryl's excited about one position group in particular, and we'll see if the head coach agrees that and somebody's living in the backfield, and I don't think you'll be that surprised who it is. Is that a good thing? That's straight ahead on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Anthony Lima for Mentality Health. Unlike online-only services, Mentality is different, offering in-person consultations.
even though I played quarterback and I've been with both, I think at times it can be an undercoached position. And so I want to make sure it's right. I have a lot of faith in CJ. That has nothing to do with CJ and Waz. That's where my eyes go. And I also have a lot of faith in Mike Bajakian and Matt Baker with the quarterbacks. It's just making sure that the receivers understand how important it is in terms of route running detail and spacing when we get zone.
Todd Monken, obviously a position group he's very familiar with, talking about his handling of the wide receivers. And obviously, aside from the quarterback situation and Jared Verse, once training camp starts, wide receivers are going to be right there. Like, fans are going to want to see those guys because the highlights so far, especially out of Denzel Boston in camp. Now, I'm not somebody that makes a big deal out of anything in OTAs, but
stop.
Oh, no, I don't. I mean, you haven't seen me tweet one clip from OTAs yet. 0. I've been watching the NBA Finals and paying attention to that. However, the Boston stuff.
Because your X account is the only platform you have.
You've heard me overreact to OTAs?
I'm just kidding.
Have you?
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Owen, have I?
I don't even think you knew they were going on.
I did not know. I had to ask, is this mini camp? Is this OTAs? But I told you, I've explained before, like, I get it that, like, the fans of Shador, this is everything. This is their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This has to be. Because if he doesn't get through this, like, that could be it for his career. I don't know how many teams are lining up.
Actually, no, because then, that's just Cleveland, and they don't know how to deal with quarterbacks. He'll get at least one more chance.
Will he?
If it doesn't work out here, and by work out, I mean, let's say at some point down the road he gets cut, okay? Then I think he'll get another chance because it'll be the Cleveland thing.
Yeah, but what will be the chance? Won't be to be a starter.
No, but he'll get an
That's what I mean.
Someone will pick him up and give him a look. 100%. I mean, he's not going to be one and done here.
Yeah, I mean, there's 150 quarterbacks that get a look every year if you add up with the injuries and the camp arms and everything.
Look at how long Colt McCoy lasted in the NFL.
Yeah, but could you see Shador being that? Is he going to?
No.
Is he going to be?
No.
You see what I mean? Like, this is pretty big for him. How this goes down here. So I get it. For his fans, this is life or death. This is the national championship. This is the Super Bowl.
Just understand when you get Shador, he comes with a film crew.
Is that still happening, by the way?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What about Deshaun Watson's film crew?
There's a guy for him too.
So I had joked a few years ago about dueling film crews, but that's really happening right now?
Yes, we have dueling film crews right now to tell everyone how great these guys are.
All right, so
I don't think Tom Brady ever had a film crew. I don't think Patrick Mahomes has a film crew. I don't think Josh Allen has a film crew. I don't think Joe Burrow has a film crew. And I don't know what Shador Sanders and Deshaun Watson have accomplished here to deserve film crews, but they got film crews.
That's unfair.
No, it's not.
Wait a second, Daryl.
No, it's not. It's completely fair.
Don't you think with their fan bases?
Yeah, I don't care about their fan bases right now. I care about whether or not you can play quarterback.
Oh, no, Daryl, I've got to stop you here. Hold on. We live in a world, a society where there is a desperate need for content. Second by second.
Well, I'm sorry. Did you just say there's a desperate need for content?
Yes.
I would argue there's too much content.
Not to their fans. They're watching all the reality shows. They're staying locked in to everything that is Sanders related, whether it's Coach Prime, what's happening in Boulder, which
I just think it's emblematic of not being focused on what you should be focusing on.
Well, the camera crews are focused on their guy.
And their white balance.
Yeah, they got it. There's a rack focus. I could tell you should know all these things. You're a photographer. I've paid Daryl Ryder to come to an event, a birthday party of mine. So I know
and the pictures came out spectacularly.
They're amazing. Now I have AI, so I don't need you anymore. But Daryl, this is incredible that you wouldn't understand that this is a new rung of society. It's a new generation.
You know what?
This is what they want.
Listen, I'm still looking for Jared Verse's film crew. They have not.
What, did Miles have one?
No.
Okay.
Well, he had his dad.
And he has his own camera.
Yeah.
When he would show up to events. Do you think Todd Monken's got to be cool with the film crews?
Todd Monken does not. I can confirm Todd Monken does not have a film crew. Andrew Berry does not have a film crew. But your two quarterbacks competing for a job, they have film crews.
Did they ever run into each other trying to film at the same time? I could see how that would be an issue that you'd have to watch out for. 216-474-WINN. 0092. Let's go to the phones. Paul in Canton, waiting patiently. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
What's going on?
Well, I think it would be bad for Shedeur and the Browns for him to start later on in the season. This is why, because we're trying to find out about getting another quarterback next year.
Mm-hmm.
So you need somebody, a young quarterback is going to have failures. You have Hall of Fame quarterbacks with rookie seasons, whether it's Troy Aikman or whoever, Steve Young, who had bad times, bad moments. If you're starting him later on in the year, then you're taking time away. And once again, he has to hit the ground running. Remind you, this is a guy who won 3 out of 7 games. That's with a last place offensive line, last place wide receivers, bottom running game, no first team reps.
Who ranked him dead last? Who ranked him dead last? The offensive line. I just want to make sure that we can verify that. I hear a lot of fans say that. Who actually ranked him dead last? Because PFF said their passing grades were actually pretty good the last 5 weeks. So you said the offensive line was playing real good at the... No, not real good, but they said their passing... They gave them pass blocking grades that were above average the last 5 weeks. They said Shedeur caused most of those sacks.
Well,
I'm just saying what they said.
The wide receivers aren't getting open?
The receivers were terrible. Yeah, they had the worst wide receiver room in the NFL last year.
So if you combine that with Stefanski doing weird stuff at the end of a couple of games, then, I'm just saying I'm down to get a quarterback next year without a doubt. But I think it's bad for the Browns and Shedeur to have – you're going to rush him back for Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson plays a little bit better, what does that mean? You're going to let him rob you for another $250 million?
Well, that's a fair question. We're going to ask Andrew Berry that later today because I know there are not many in this fan base that would be ready, even if he played well. Even if, let's say, miracles happened and he was the 15th best quarterback in the NFL. Then you got to sign him?
Right, exactly. There's absolutely no positive. This is a guy who he hasn't played well in about 4 seasons, hasn't played in about 2 seasons, has 3 ligament tears. What are we doing here? He already robbed you for almost $250 million. This is, it makes absolutely no sense. There's almost no positive whatsoever to start Deshaun Watson.
Well, there is one big
good call. Thank you for the call.
There's one big negative that the Browns, I think, are thinking about, and that is the fear of investing $230 million in Deshaun Watson, and you don't give him an opportunity to show what he can do or can't do this year, and he goes elsewhere next year, and he looks like Deshaun Watson again. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I do think that is part of the picture, right? You'll look really, really foolish if you don't find out if he has anything in the tank.
Man, listen, I was the guy front and center.
You will be front and center next year. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'll be very clear. It's a big-time hypothetical. But if Deshaun Watson went elsewhere next year and he was successful, you would be first in line to absolutely kill Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns.
Me?
Yes.
Balderdash. Colton and Cuyahoga Falls, go ahead.
Yeah, Lyman, what you said about there's a desperation for content, you couldn't be more wrong than you are right now. You're saying there's a desperation for content for Shedeur fans and Deshaun fans. You open Twitter, I can't scroll 30 seconds without seeing something about those two on Twitter or Facebook or TikTok. Where do you get your reasoning that there's a desperation for content, quote unquote?
Wait, you don't think the Shedeur fans are consuming every last morsel, every last frame of video? He was doing TikToks yesterday, just making his way into Berea. The kids love that stuff. Maybe it's not for me, but Colton, I thought
they consume it. Yes, but there's not a desperation need for content. If there was a desperation need for content, everybody would be like, well, where's Shedeur at? We haven't seen from him in months or weeks. He's posting stuff every day. That's not a desperation for content.
The only desperation for content I have when it comes to these quarterbacks is, can you complete passes and win games?
Exactly, Daryl. Thank you, Daryl. What does off-field media coverage have to do with the on-field playing of the actual game?
I thought Colton, I'm too old for
here
this.
To set you straight.
Listen, thank you, Colton, but I thought the younger generation, this is what made these fans different from, say, our parents and our generation, is that they love the social media and they live and breathe it and they follow all of it, and it's like a soap opera to them. It's maybe not for me and Daryl, but Colton, I thought, maybe for your kids. I thought they were interested in all this
not
stuff.
for my generation. I'm right around Shador's age, so like I'm right in that same generation where his fans would be. No, these kids nowadays don't know what football is if they slap them in the face. All they care about is like, oh, this guy has a shiny watch. He's cool.
All right, thank you, Colton. Wow, not very often that
someone
I get
agrees
speechless. With me. Yeah, no, Daryl. Listen, I thought everybody in town loved the film crews and loved all the 24/7 coverage of these quarterbacks. Chuck in Cleveland, been waiting patiently. We appreciate him, always a big part of the show. Chuck, do you love all the content coming out from those quarterbacks?
Listen, bro. The content shouldn't even be a topic of discussion. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand what's wrong with it. It's like, I don't know if there's a little jealousy in there. I mean, yeah.
Daryl, are you jealous?
No, it has
not.
No,
Daryl, that also got NFL access. You know what I'm saying? That's a major accomplishment for any black man in America. And they positive, good kids, bro.
Daryl?
Ain't done to nobody. You know what I mean? Shador done came to Cleveland, worked his butt off, been through probably more than any quarterback that we ever had. And Lima, I really just called because when you attach the 5th round pick and say he was worse statistically than any quarterback, why don't you also talk about the receivers in the same breath and the line? We all know
Don't people know? Do I have to say it every time? Like say, all right, he threw the most interceptable worthy passes last year. He threw the least catchable balls statistically. Now, this is PFF that threw that stuff out there. But I also then have to go in and talk about every group in the same sentence. I think people know.
I challenge you to say that just as much as you say he was the worst quarterback. You know what I mean? Your framework is very slippery. You know what I'm saying? But I say this. The fact that he came in here, operated under chaos, Kevin Stefanski stole 2 games from that kid. He was supposed to go 5-2. Okay?
5-2? That's it. I mean, Mitch Trubisky also won 12 games one year, so why not?
Kevin did an end around with all rookies. Okay, we were supposed to win that game. He outplayed. Shador outplayed the number 1 pick.
How much credit you giving Myles Garrett for any of this? Was he an innocent bystander? Was he on the field for these?
Myles Garrett had 40 sacks in 2 years, and we won 8 games in 2 years.
You think that the Aaron Rodgers game where the Pittsburgh game where Aaron Rodgers refused to play normal football for an entire 60 minutes because Myles Garrett was there, you were giving that game to somebody else not named Myles Garrett?
I get that to Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? He threw the game. But look, let me say this. I will say this. Kevin Stefanski was that's why he's going, guys. Come on, man. Y'all see what's going on. Get off this kid's back, man. What else does he have to do?
I know, boy, having Shador come in for a one-on-one at 7 a.m. every day to teach the kid the playbook, boy, wow, Kevin Stefanski really stuck at the Shador. You're right, 100%.
Y'all act like he stole y'all girls, man, and all he do is go out there and smile, man. Support the kid.
Do you think, Chuck,
it's not our job to support him. Man. It's your job to support him, not ours.
Chuck, do you think the Falcons would rather have Kevin Stefanski or Shador Sanders?
I think the Falcons actually is the worst landing spot for Kevin Stefanski because Deion built that. Remember, this is my house. Dirty Birds.
That wasn't the question. That was 30 years ago.
I'm just doing the same thing Lima does. You know what I mean?
Sanders is 30 years ago.
I appreciate that. Chuck, I appreciate it. I do. Hey,
it's all love.
I saw this.
Come on, get a kid a break.
Bijan, thank you for the call, Chuck. He's setting everybody straight.
He's getting his break right now. He's getting first-team reps in practice on a daily basis. That's his break. Last year, he was throwing to the ball boys. This year, he's getting first-team reps. He's, by the way, not just getting first-team reps. He's getting practices where he's the first guy getting the first-team reps in 11-on-11. That's his break, okay? And it's about what Shador is doing with that break. It doesn't matter what I think or say or whatever. He's getting a chance. Todd Monken is giving Shador Sanders a chance. And if Shador Sanders doesn't win this quarterback job, it's going to be because of Shador Sanders. Not because of me, not because of Anthony Lima, not because of Owen. It's going to be because of Shador.
I think Shador has been living.
So stop blaming all of us.
It was an insane setup, the 4 quarterback thing. If I have to do a disclaimer every time, I'll do it. All right, Chuck said I should bring up the offensive line. The 4 quarterback setup was a disaster from the moment that it was conceived.
Well, the guy that didn't even take reps the first day of training camp turned around was the starting quarterback in week 1.
I know.
How insane was that?
when they called it a 4-man competition, but yet there was really a competition for the starter and the backup. Yeah, it was insane. It was ludicrous. And that didn't do Shedeur any favors. Didn't do Dylan Gabriel any favors. It didn't do the team any favors.
Didn't do Kenny Pickett any favors. Didn't do Joe Flacco
which
any
I was
favors.
fine. I didn't need any favors done for Kenny Pickett. But either way, it sucked for all involved. I gave Shedeur a ton of credit for not being this circus off the field.
100%.
Look, I might have said something about it too with the film crews and everything. He was fine. He's perfect. I find him to be really, really likable. It's his fans sometimes I have a problem with, but he has been.
Here's the thing. I think
been awesome.
I think Shedeur is grossly misunderstood. And I do think that there is some, poking at the bear with him a little bit because of who his dad is and because he has the big personality and the big following and his fans sometimes are a little unhinged. But he's a good kid. But you know what? I know
Seems
a lot
like
of
a great kid.
Listen, I know a lot of great kids that aren't exactly great at playing in the NFL. And Shedeur is getting an opportunity to show whether or not he can do that this year. He's getting a fair opportunity this year. And that's what I have to push back on. He might not have gotten one last year. He's getting it this year. So it's on him and only him
listen,
to make the most of it.
A lot of guys taken in the draft. I'm not allowed to use the round anymore, but a lot of guys taken in the draft where he was taken never get an opportunity. He got 7 starts last year.
Oh, we took the thing off the board over here.
I don't know anything about that. I came in one day and that board was gone. What, about the Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
But he made the Pro Bowl last year. Come on, he's selling jerseys. He's making money. This is a blessed life.
Wait a minute, it wasn't jerseys. It was the cards, wasn't it? That made him his money.
I refuse to call him a victim. To me, this is a great facet of American life.
He's got a great opportunity that a lot of folks don't get.
Yeah,
and hopefully he's
able
to
make the most of it.
And hopefully he's able to make the most of it.
All right. Are they going to make the most of the World Cup? Because we haven't mentioned the World Cup at all. And producer John, in About Last Night, had this big thing he wanted to talk about the World Cup. I said Ken would never allow it, but Ken's gone, so I'll allow it. Plus, could we be seeing one of our friendlier foes this weekend? Is somebody making a comeback? We'll find out. About Last Night's next on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Well, the real estate market is evolving every single week, really every single
moved the meeting. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, whew, it's the way it should be.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him, how he couldn't please his wife, and so now he's divorced.
That sounds really good, but I'm not 6'5", and I don't have the athletic ability to play in the NBA.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
The 2026 FIFA World Cup kicked off yesterday.
You're leading with soccer?
Yes, I'm leading with soccer.
You're leading with soccer. Do you understand our demographic? See, Ken would never allow this. There's just no way if Ken was here.
Hey, this is breaking. Listen, I'm going to defend him for a moment. This is breaking news for me. I didn't even know the World Cup was happening.
Okay, now that's a lie. There's no way you didn't know. Although I asked off the air when the Columbus games were going to be played, and what'd you tell me?
Those are the Olympic games.
Okay.
In a couple of years for the LA games.
I guess I screwed that up. Now
the prelims for the LA games.
Now hold on. The World Cup is still the most watched event in the world,
Are
right?
you doing a story this morning on all the price gouging that is currently taking place for the World Cup? Okay. Because that I am aware of.
So there were two games yesterday. Mexico beat South Africa 2-0, and South Korea beat Czechia 2-1.
That one I missed. So I'm 1-1.
So the U.S. kicks off tonight at 9 against Paraguay at SoFi. There are 3 major championships going on right now with the Stanley Cup Finals, the NBA Finals, and the World Cup. You're not watching 2 out of 3. What's it going to take for you to watch the World Cup? Like, actually.
You'd have to pay me.
Really?
No, stop it. Come on. Now, first of all, are we favorites?
My time is valuable.
Are we favorites tonight or no?
Paraguay hasn't made the World Cup in a very long time.
And we only made it because we're hosting.
I mean, kinda.
Yes.
Yeah. That's not why. Like that. So
Soccer's really not our thing in this country. It's a different brand of football we're good at.
Thank you for informing me. Do we have the best goalie still? Didn't we always have the best? Tony Viola?
Tim Howard was a goal. So they were making all these memes like years ago with Tim Howard, like, oh, he could save all these goals. They lost the game.
I'm just mocking that this is the top story in it about last night. That's all.
No, I'll allow it because we have fans that say that we never talk soccer, and this is a pretty big deal.
We had someone call in yesterday that wanted to talk soccer. Who's a high school soccer coach.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready to break down in less than 15 seconds why we've never been able to get good at this sport?
It's because we play football, baseball, and basketball, and those sports are way more fun to watch to the American population.
Wait a second. Croatia, they play multiple sports, and they seem to be pretty good at it, and they're way smaller than we are. How do they
Best
pull it off?
athletes are playing other sports.
How do they pull
Their
it
best
off?
athletes are playing soccer.
I'm half Croatian, by the way. Go ahead. That was it. That's all we had. Okay.
Sean Payton signed a 5-year extension with the Denver Broncos. Is that what I should have led with? Should I lead with that?
Well, you should have at least told me something in the thing that you did lead with. What was the point of
what was going to make you watch it? What's going to make you watch the World Cup at that point?
Not your 15-second.
Yeah, no, that sucked. I now will never watch it.
I know. I told you what's going to make me watch it. You pay me. You pay me,
You know
and
what?
I will watch it.
You know what?
Getting paid to watch
All right,
all of
when
them.
we come back, 216-474-0092. This is your chance, soccer hooligans. Why should we watch? Why should we watch tonight at 9 o'clock? Go ahead.
So, Sean Payton, obviously, he won a Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints. He got to an AFC championship last year with the Denver Broncos. How many Super Bowls does Sean Payton need to win to get the Andy Reid treatment where Andy Reid was the coach of the Eagles forever? He didn't win the big one. He wins 3 in Kansas City, and now no one will... That's a footnote now. His time with the Eagles is actually a footnote in his Hall of Fame resume. Sean Payton, if he wins the Super Bowl with Bo Nix, I think he's a Bronco.
First of all, he's not going to win a Super Bowl with Bo Nix, and I think this is one of the top 3 coaches.
Wait, can I
in all the NFL?
Time out here.
Yeah.
He's already won a Super Bowl. You're totally missing a
Andy
major
Reid
difference
did
in the
not
two
win a
resumes.
Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Andy Reid had not won a Super Bowl
John
when he
Dooley.
went to the Chiefs. He goes to the Chiefs, wins multiple Super Bowls. Sean Payton already has a ring on the finger.
But he has Bountygate as well.
I understand that, but I'm just saying they didn't take the Super Bowl championship away from him, right? He didn't have to vacate
So
it.
you're saying
They did take a season of coaching away from
They
him.
did. Yes, that is very true.
And
Greg Williams as well.
And then they took away his look when they made Kevin James play him in a boot.
Daryl, are you saying this is an apples to oranges comparison?
100%. He's already won a Super Bowl.
Are you saying that young John is 0 for 2?
He's
in
0
about
for
last
2.
night?
He's 0 for 2. He's got a chance to redeem himself.
I want to know who honestly.
I would say he's 0 for 2.
He should have brought this at the pitch meeting. This is the thing I wonder, though. Like, Sean McVay moved on from Jared Goff.
Right?
Doesn't in this case, doesn't he have to move on from this quarterback? He's not good enough. You don't think Bo Nix is good enough to win a Super Bowl, do you?
No, I don't. But I just, it's apples and oranges. He's already won a Super Bowl. Like, he left one team, went to another.
All right, what's next? By the way, no soccer fans have called in yet.
Texas Tech, their athletics social media, put out a 21-minute and 28-second video basically defending Brendan Sorsby.
What is the defense?
It's just, we didn't know. He wasn't on our team when it happened. And they were working it through like, Brendan Sorsby, he's going through all these treatment. He has an addiction. It's a serious addiction. Like, okay. If you have to put out a 21.5-minute video about why somebody should be playing for your team.
I have the under.
He probably shouldn't be playing for your team. They're getting clowned all over social media with community notes.
Now, I messaged, and we had Dan Wetzel on earlier, and Ken and I got into a huge battle royale. I'm like, is there a chance that they have to buckle to the pressure and not allow Sorsby to be on the team because of what all these teams are threatening? Wetzel texted, it's West Texas. They're not going to buckle.
No. Well, the other thing, too, is there's...
So can champions pose?
If, the boycott or whatever, like, they're already threatening legal litigation to combat the boycott that's being threatened.
I know.
Again, you can do a lot of unsavory things and still be allowed to play football. But the one thing you cannot do in sports is gamble. And you certainly can't gamble on your own team. Even if you're picking your team to win, you still can't gamble on games that you participate in, whether you have an addiction or not. It comes down to the very core of athletic competition,
so here's the question.
And that's the integrity of the game.
If he would have just bet like 3 times and therefore couldn't claim an addiction,
one and done.
Could not claim an addiction, would he be banned from college football this year? Like the fact that he bet so much and then could turn around and say, well, it's an addiction, which we know there are people absolutely addicted to this. But if he only did it a few times.
The issue is he bet on games he competed in. It's not like he's betting on baseball or basketball or hockey or something like that. He was betting on games that he competed in. That's the issue. That is the point of no return.
All right, and Guardians had a move. I heard it in the update.
They brought up Daniel Espino. He's bounced around. He's been injured a lot. Apparently, this is a super big time call up. I'm excited to see what he can do. But the big picture that's going to be at Progressive Field this weekend is Tarek Skubal is coming back 38 days after nanoscopic surgery. He was
out for the year. What happened?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is this injury usually takes 12 weeks to recover from. This is unprecedented. Him coming back from this, it's unbelievable. We'll see how he does on Saturday against the Guardians.
All right, there you go, John. About last night, they're calling in. They are calling in. I will yield the for just a few minutes.
Give
moments.
Us your World Cup picks.
But not their picks, Daryl. They have to tell us what, because when the Cavs were in the playoffs, well, they have no chance to win the championship, so doesn't matter. Okay, soccer people, we have no chance to win the World Cup. I don't even know if we have any chance to get out of pool play.
Yeah, is Team USA any good?
No.
Okay. Where are they ranked right now?
I have no idea. I don't watch soccer either.
Like 40th?
I was asking a legitimate question because I don't watch. I have no idea, and you give me a snarky no?
All right, we will 216.
Everything he gives you is a
That's true. 216-474-0092.
It just goes to reiterate, why did we do it?
Well, we'll find out. Maybe the soccer fans, they found their favorite personality on the show.
They'll be locked in on Sunday.
Coach Riz at 8:20, Andrew Barry at 9, your chance to win money thanks to Fanatics in the 9 o'clock hour here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
room that I'm wrong on this.
I mean, I'll just
about
be
Deshaun specifically.
I'm just, and maybe I need to budge off that. I haven't seen anything that tells me I need to, though, yet. And maybe it'll be us in training camp seeing it firsthand. I just have a hard time thinking until games are played, there's anything he can do that would change my assessment.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
We got Coach Riz join us at 8:20. Who is in the lead in the QB competition? I think I know what he'll say, but what's interesting is to hear all the different pundits that are there every day, like Daryl, like Mary Kay, Zach Jackson. I can't even share the stuff he texts me on a daily basis. Coach Riz will join us at 8:20. Andrew Berry, 9 o'clock. We've got questions ready to go. I cannot wait. There's some things we have to clarify with the GM of the Browns, who's feeling pretty good despite trading Myles Garrett. How could that be? We'll talk to him about that. And social media reaction is always brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Tommy Matthews says, I'd rather listen to Ken talk NASCAR than listen to any amount of soccer. We go out to Tom in Garfield Heights. The World Cup, for those that are just joining us, young John decided to lead about last night with the World Cup. He didn't really have a story. He just said World Cup. So, World Cup, Tom, what does it mean? Why should we be excited?
Yeah, well, it's one of the biggest sporting events in the world. But, beyond that, the main reason is the same reason we watch Americans compete in the Olympics. We root for the home team. It's pretty much that simple. Sometimes they overachieve, sometimes they don't. It's a lot like the Browns. You hope the home team does their best, and when they overachieve, it's really great, like any sporting event.
Yeah, just need a COVID year.
Yeah, just like the Browns.
Tom, are they really doing water breaks? Isn't it like 70 degrees in Kansas City? Why are we doing water breaks?
They're running nonstop. They run something like 8 or 9 miles a game. So, they sweat a lot. They lose a lot of water. They got to drink water.
Do they know where the porta potties are?
I'm pretty sure they provide facilities.
Throwback. Nice job. Oh, in the beginning of the show. All right, Tom, I'm just asking because Daryl says he didn't even know. I think he's lying for a fact. He says he didn't even know the World Cup was taking place. I mean, I've seen all the marketing. I've seen all the advertising.
Well, I know that the price gouging is taking place. That's the only reason I know the World Cup's happening.
It has a lot of problems, so I'll give you that. But, I agree with the things Daryl has to say. 99.9% of the time, this is the 0.1% of the time. You're missing out on just a big sporting event.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl championship ring being made since we don't see those around here.
Tom, who's the best player in the world?
Right now, it's up for debate. A lot of people still think it's Lionel Messi. He's a bit older these days. I still got to go with him until, somebody beats them. They're the defending champs. Argentina, that is, where he's from. So,
Freddie Adu.
I'm going with him.
Kobe Jones. All right, thank you for the call, Tom. See, we got our soccer fix just in time. I was concerned.
I thought he was going to talk about all the red cards that got handed out yesterday.
Was it bad? Was it like the Wemby flagrants?
I guess there was a game where a couple of red cards were handed out.
Do you know how many hours, days, weeks, months? It's every 4 years, obviously, right? That's how often they do the World Cup.
I think it's every 4 years, something like that.
Every 3 years.
Oh, it's every 3 years?
What? Come on. Is it really?
Guys, they do the Olympics every 4 years.
Oh, okay.
What about the America's Cup?
Are we any good in Olympic soccer?
I couldn't tell you.
Olympic soccer is not like the regular national team. It's U23.
Oh,
for the women, it's the regular roster, but for the men, it's not.
What about the Solheim Cup? Let's go to
Columbus is good at soccer. The Crew.
Line 2. Who is this? Make a case. Why is this a big deal? Yeah.
Well, it's a big deal. It's the biggest sporting event, like the other guy just said. And the other thing is, you guys are a sports talk show. How do you not know anything about the biggest sporting event in the world?
Yeah, guys.
I've been at minicamp all week.
We don't live in the world. We live in America.
All right.
Do you name one player other than Pulisic? Do you even know Pulisic?
Hang on, I'm Googling right now.
Plays soccer?
Mike Pulisic, he's a city councilman.
That's crazy.
All right, I'm Googling right now top players in the World Cup right now so I can learn about this.
All right, who is he? Is Pulisic still the best player on the team?
Oh, yes, for sure, yes.
Okay. Where does he rank internationally? Is he in the top?
Internationally?
Is he in the top 50?
Top 50? I would say so, yes.
Okay.
I would say top 50, yeah. I would say so.
All right, so I Googled top players participating in the World Cup right now to educate myself. It broke it down into 3 groups for me: the headliners, the living legends, and elite playmakers and forwards.
Maradona.
Maradona.
He did not make the cut.
Okay.
According from this Google AI search that I just did.
Well, I had a lot to say about Chris Richards, who I think is incredibly important. Nearly every minute center. He plays in the Premier League.
There's so the headliners. There's a guy from France, Brazil,
Spain. Defensive reliability,
Does he
as we all know.
start in the Premier League?
Yeah, Crystal Palace. I mean, come on.
Desmond in Illyria. Are you going to be watching the World Cup?
No, sir.
Are you a Patriot? Doesn't sound like it.
I am a patriot. I am a disabled war vet, brother. A patriot. I love my country.
And you're not going to cheer for the Stars and Stripes on the pitch?
You know what I call for, brothers?
Go
and
ahead.
I talk to you guys quite often.
Go ahead, Desmond.
I call because, Daryl, did Shador do something to you?
No. I'm actually hoping that he wins this competition and starts week 1.
Let him have it, Desmond.
I'm actually in Shador's corner here.
Daryl,
I would rather watch him play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns than Deshaun Watson. I've been very clear about that for months.
Don't insult your listeners, Daryl.
I've seen that. I've seen you say that. But this morning,
we get the terminology. But yeah, Daryl's been harsh, has he not, Desmond?
Say again. Daryl has been harsh. He's been like it's personal. It's not professional. I'm sorry, Daryl. I didn't mean to go too deep about the wife thing. But, you know, it was just like...
No, here's the thing. Here's what you... No, hang on. Here's my point.
Thank you for the call, Desmond. I appreciate your service.
I want the focus...
You were wrong, John, by the way.
I want the focus to be on football. I don't want it to be on film crews. I don't want to be it to be on social media. I don't want it to be on the loyalists and the fans and all that kind of stuff. I want it to be about football. Because this is a town where... Unfortunately, the football has just been god-awful. The quarterback, and it's because of the quarterback play, okay? This franchise can't get on its feet because they can't find their franchise quarterback. And Shedeur Sanders has a very unique opportunity. This is why I have no respect for Johnny Manziel, because he was drafted in the first round, given the keys and an opportunity to lead a franchise, and he disrespected it. Now, Shedeur Sanders, I don't feel like is disrespecting his opportunity. I'm going to be very clear about that. But I think that the focus when it comes to Shedeur sometimes veers off of just football. He needs to be 100% about football right now, and only football. Not about being filmed and documenting everything he's doing and how he's doing it for the socials or whatever he's doing in the multimedia space. It needs to 100% be about football, because guess what? There's no guarantee he's going to get another opportunity to be a starting quarterback for an NFL franchise. He has a golden opportunity here in Cleveland. It is there for the taking. So if you think I'm too mean, you think I'm too harsh, that's fine. First of all, it's not personal. I like Shedeur personally. I've said, I think he's a good kid. I think he's misunderstood. I think things get blown out of proportion and get taken out of context. But right now, I want everything with this young man to be about football. I don't want it to be about Daddy's meeting with Todd Monken. I don't want to be about what his brothers are saying about colleagues of mine. I want everything
what
to
did
be
they say, Daryl?
About football.
Which brother and which colleague?
I think you know what I'm referencing. But that's my point. And so when you do all this other stuff, you're telling me that you're not all 100% about football. And that's what annoys me, okay? You have a unique opportunity to take the reins of a franchise that is desperate to find their franchise quarterback. And this year, forget what happened last year. That can't be changed, okay? But this year, you are being given a tangible opportunity. You're getting just as many first-team reps as Deshaun Watson. You're neck and neck, toe and toe, however you want to.
Has it been about even when it comes to that?
Yeah, it's been very fair, and so take advantage. Focus on taking advantage and seizing that opportunity.
Hold on, real quick, because we got Coach Riz coming around the corner. Anthony and Stowe, go ahead, Anthony.
Daryl, you're 100% wrong about everything you said.
Oh.
Everything.
Oh, you don't want him to focus on football and only football?
No.
This isn't a golden opportunity for him?
First off, I want you to listen for a change, okay? How do you know he's not? Everything this kid has said to the media, he is 100% focused on football, number one. You're knocking him because of the social media? What athlete?
You don't need a film crew. The Browns have a film crew. The Browns have a film crew. You don't need one.
Hey, you're gonna let me talk?
I'd like to hear the caller talk, Daryl.
Every single professional athlete is on social media with a crew.
That's right.
Every one of them. You're gonna knock him because of who his father is? Because
I'm not knocking him for who his father is.
Jealousy? What is it?
You're knocking him.
No, I'm not.
Because of the fame. You're knocking him because of the fame.
I most certainly am not.
The fame that he carries, because every single thing you're saying is not exclusive to Shedeur. Every athlete has a crew. Every athlete is on social media.
Jared Verse does not have a film crew in Berea.
This kid has conducted
Casey
himself
Concepcion does not have a film crew in Berea right now.
Hold on, I want to make a couple more points.
Yeah,
you just got done telling me that every athlete has a film crew.
I'm sorry, Ant. Owen said we had to move on. Daryl, first of all, his name was Anthony, so I gotta hear him out.
I thought you gave him too much leash.
Much leash?
Yeah. I mean, not every athlete does
me
this. Over. That's my point. No, this is not normal behavior.
But hasn't he demonstrated with all his success in college and Boulder that he can handle all of that?
What's he accomplished in the NFL?
When we come back, we've got Coach Riz. Who is in the lead when it comes to those quarterbacks? Nobody has been charting all of this throw by throw the way that Coach Riz has been doing it. He joins us next from 92.3 The Fan, one of our great football analysts, as well as Cleveland.com. That's next. Plus, you certainly don't want to miss that. Or at 9:20, make that 9 o'clock. Andrew Berry, GM of the Browns. Cannot wait to talk to him about all this as well. Loaded remainder of the show for you here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. XTEND-AV.
guaranteeing it, but he was saying after the game last night, oh, there's going to be a Game 7.
Typical Torts.
I'm just impressed he spoke after the game.
I think he's just waiting for his turn to host with the next team. You can listen to the Fan Rewind weeknights from 11 p.m. to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Meredith Kane.
All right, enough of that other football that apparently has captivated the world. We're talking American football.
The real football.
With Coach Riz. And I can tell you, I could tell by him being out of camp the way he is, he would never give up valuable football field time to the soccer players in the fall. What's up, Coach Riz? How are you?
Hey, guys. What's going on? Happy Friday to you.
That never was a problem, right? You always were very amicable. Okay, you guys can get the field too. No problem.
The Browns shared the practice fields in Berea with Brazil and Egypt.
Is that right?
They had them painted out. They had the soccer goals out there and everything. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Part of the peace accord.
Well, I think it's important. You gotta make peace with everybody. That just makes your life a lot easier because there will be moments when you need the field. So that was always kind of my thought process behind it.
Just remember, in soccer, it's under the bar, not over the bar.
All right, Coach Riz, appreciate you coming on because you have been monitoring. You've been giving me basically every day full scouting reports, and I wanted to have you on. I thought this was a perfect time because we finished OTAs, we finished mini camps, and now it's all, 5-6 weeks until we start getting serious and have training camp. And it was the coach himself who had told us he was hoping to have the quarterback stuff ironed out by now, and clearly that isn't happening. What do you think that means?
Well, I actually think it's a good thing. And, the narrative that they've played great or the narrative that they've played terrible, I just don't agree with. I think there's been some real improvement with things that are kind of not what you see on, even the clips I send out with footwork and processing and getting to the second, third progressions and getting the poise and calling these plays. And you can see they have a lot of there's a lot on their plate with changing protections and getting into good plays. And that's kind of the idea of not being in a system offense. So for me, I like it. And as I said yesterday with Daryl, I don't think it's a matter of these guys. A lot of times when you play a quarterback, when people say you have two, you have none, I don't really believe in that unless those two are really playing poorly. And I don't think these two are. I think there's been some inaccuracy, what everybody sees, but what they've done at a high level, and I truly believe that. We got a guy coming off multiple injuries, and you got a guy coming off 7 starts who was a 5th-round pick. I think they've done an excellent job. And obviously there's been some accuracy issues. And that comes down to reps, right? If you run a curl, Boston's going to run it different than Casey Concepcion. And you would hope that gets ironed out with more reps. Obviously, none of it means anything until you get the pads on. It doesn't mean anything until you live bullets. But I've been very impressed with these guys. And, I look at it differently, and I respect what everybody else thinks because that's why quarterback position is so hard to evaluate. We all get them wrong. But from what I saw last year in camp and et cetera over the last 3-4 years, I'm very happy with what I saw on those guys through the entire summer, especially the last 3 days.
Todd Monken has been he's been pretty open and honest about his thoughts and his evaluation. So when he speaks in terms of, both of these guys have, just like you said, Coach, have been good enough to deserve the opportunity to compete in training camp. Is that coach speak? Do you think he really believes that? And do you think, though, he has a plan in his mind who he thinks is going to win this competition and start week 1 in Jacksonville?
I really don't. I don't think he does. And as an old school guy, I think he would like to have this worked out. And I think when he said he'd like to have this done by the end of this mandatory minicamp, I think he meant that because then you're getting into the 80-20 where, everybody works a little bit differently. But usually the starter's getting about 80%, the backup's getting about 20%. And, the more reps you get, the better you are at it. But the idea of one of these guys being in front of the other, we don't know exactly what's going on behind, closed doors, when they're watching film, when they're installing. The thing that I've been most impressed with more than the throws, because the throws don't mean anything to me per se until they get the pads on, because then you got live pass rush, et cetera. But their ability to get their offense into different plays. You see them canning plays. You see them killing plays, which means they're kind of getting into new plays. And Todd Monken talked about yesterday, allowing the quarterbacks to get into a great play, but then you got to take ownership of it. And I'm seeing both of these guys do that. Now, once again, that's easy to do in the film room. That's easy to do through walkthroughs. That's even easy to do when you're out there 11 on 11 where everyone else is live and you're not. Obviously, it's a product-based league, and it's a product-based sport. You got to win games. But the progression they've taken, for me, Monken builds to the 11 on 11s. Monken's building to game one. I think this is an open competition. I think it's very close. And I think both guys have done some really good things. But I do think it comes down to when they get to joint practice versus the Bills, when they get to these preseason games. I think these things mean something this year because it is a close competition, and it is a real competition. I truly believe that.
Coach Riz joining us right now on the We Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. So if you had never seen Deshaun Watson have the success he had previously back in the Texans days, and you didn't see the 7 games last year that Shedeur Sanders had, you just saw what you've seen so far. I know it sounds ridiculous, but who would be the starting quarterback going into week 1?
Well, it's funny because that's how Todd Monken's looking at it. And all the things that happened in the past don't mean anything. And if you're asking me who should start right now, I would say Deshaun Watson. And it's about who gives me the best chance to win right now. So if you're asking me right now, it's Deshaun Watson. But I will say this. Everybody's talked about we know what Deshaun Watson's going to do in practice. He can't do it in games. And I've heard that narrative a bunch. And we've heard that, Shedeur is a gamer but can't do it in practice. Well, I've seen Shedeur all summer, and I think he's a much better practice player than he was before, and he's closed that gap. And I think there was a gap. If he's healthy, Deshaun Watson is elite. And once again, we're not talking about what he's done in the past. We're talking about what we've seen. He's got elite arm talent. He can move. He doesn't look like he's been injured, etc. But Shedeur has closed that gap. So if Deshaun gets in a game and he's unable to perform, but is out practicing Shedeur in practice, Shedeur has closed that gap where he's going to get a look. And obviously if you need a spark, I'm never a believer of putting a guy in to get a look at him, to develop him, to see what we got. I don't believe in that. You earn your right to play. And even though I think Watson is ahead in my book, I think Shedeur has closed that gap where he's also earned the right to get a look if Watson wasn't to play at a high level. These guys are doing a lot of really good things. The thing that they got to finish is they got to protect the ball. They've made some poor mistakes during camp, and they got to continue to work on their accuracy, which for me has a lot to do with, like I said, just reps with these new guys. But if you're asking me right now, Anthony, I'm taking Watson, and I think Shedeur's right there with him.
Well, the one thing that we can't blame in this quarterback competition is the supporting cast. It's clearly upgraded. You and I talked about yesterday, Coach, the young receivers. I think they're the big winners of this offseason, as well as the mini camp, Casey Concepcion, Boston, and Isaiah Bond. All 3 of those guys, every day it seems like during practice, they all make plays. And they all make plays consistently. What's your view of these young receivers and their ability to help elevate, whether it's Deshaun or Shedeur?
Well, I'll tell you what. When coming into camp, I'm a big space guy, so I like receivers like Casey Concepcion and Isaiah Bond, those guys who can generate offense when not everybody else does it right. Because when you throw vertically to a Boston, you got to have good pass protection. You got to have a great throw. Those speed guys, those pace guys, those in-space pace guys, they don't need a lot else to make plays for you. But I have been incredibly impressed with Denzel Boston. His catch radius, not only on the vertical balls where everybody talks about going downfield and you see those plays where he goes up and gets it. I'm talking on slants and curls and digs. That big body coming across the middle, he presents – that's when the term quarterback friendly, that would be an idea of it. He presents such a great target and he has such a large catch radius. He catches everything. He's kind of an old soul in football. He just comes to work every day. You don't hear him out there. He just gets his job done. Now, for me, what it does, I think that, everybody talks about they don't have a number one receiver. I think Boston's going to, has a chance to elevate to that. But they have 3 or 4 guys now, including Isaiah Bond, that I think now give their true number one on offense, which is Harold Fannin, is going to force these defenses to be balanced. And you're going to be able to see if they go nickel because they need to cover. Now you can run the ball a little bit better. If they go regular personnel with 3 linebackers, who's covering Fannin? You have to be balanced in the secondary because maybe you don't have a true number 1 yet, but these guys have been all really talented in what they've done so far through the summer. And you haven't fixed the offensive line, but you've addressed it. And their movement skills, there's been an influx of talent with that offensive line. So I think things trend upward, and I think it gives these quarterbacks a chance to be successful, and it gives Jerry Jeudy a chance to be successful, and it gives these guys who have, they haven't had much on offense. There is an influx. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to win. It doesn't mean they're going to be successful right away, but you can see the influx of talent, and I think it gives these quarterbacks an opportunity to make plays, and then you'll see who the best guy is, and I think that's important because winning still has to be the priority, not development. Development happens now. When you get to the season, you got to win. It's a product-based league, and you got to win games.
All right, Coach Riz, you have seen the attempt at the install so far. What can you tell us about what the Todd Monken identity of this offense is going to be? Because remember, we've seen very different Todd Monken offenses over the years. That was part of the sell job, is what a chameleon he's been able to be over time. What's it going to look like here, and how different will it look from what we saw previously with Kevin Stefanski?
It's going to be a lot different. So the idea of, I always like to talk about players over plays and a system-based offense that Kevin ran. And I don't think it's wrong. And I said that to everybody. I don't think Kevin's a bad coach. He's a system-based coach. And when you're a system-based coach, all your pieces have to be really, really good. You have to be really good up front. You have to have a great run game, that wide zone, et cetera, et cetera. That's a system-based. So you have to fit into Kevin's, a system-based coach's offense. Not with Todd Monken. So you just said it right, Anthony. When you get all these different things from Stenson Bennett at Georgia to, Lamar Jackson, he's going to take what you do best and fit it into what he does. And it's not the opposite way, right? So he's going to make sure he maximizes your skill set. He's going to make sure he's a touch guy. So it's not about running particular routes. It's how do I get this guy open? How do I get this guy touches? How do I maximize Casey Concepcion, what he does best? Everybody talks about him catching the ball. He's had a great 3 weeks, in my opinion, catching the ball. But Casey Concepcion is here to run after the catch. So how do I maximize that? Denzel Boston is here to possibly be a number 1. How do I maximize that? Use his length. You've seen that. So you're going to see guys get touches in space where they can be successful. He's going to find matchups. So if you go back to what the defense has been over the last couple of years, where they're trying to find matchups for, defensive ends and linebackers, you're going to get the same thing with this offense. How do I maximize what my guys do best? Not really a scheme. That's what you get when you're old, right? Like us, right? You get the idea of you've run a million different things. You know how to run these things. But how do they make your offense and how do they make your players maximize their skill set? And that's what you get in a player's offense. So you're going to see week to week, whoever they play, you're going to see different run schemes. You're going to see different pass schemes. But it all comes back to keeping it simple and just maximizing your guys and getting the ball where they can be really good with it when they get it.
Myles Garrett would be accused of wrecking practice on a regular basis when he was here. How problematic has Jared Verse been on the practice field as he's adjusting, going from a 3-4 scheme in L.A., coming to Cleveland where he's in a 4-3?
Well, I think Jared Verse, this is a perfect, not only is it a 4-3, Darryl, but this is an attacking 4-3. So he doesn't have to play on the line of scrimmage very much. When you think about two-gapping or playing the line of scrimmage or consistently getting your hands on an offensive tackle or a tight end, he doesn't have to do that. So he's going to be in a wide 5 on that weak side, mostly against the tight end. This defense absolutely fits him much better than a 3-4. In a 3-4, when you're that outside linebacker, you have pass responsibility. There's a lot more stunts. That's kind of the beauty of these style defenses that Schwartz runs and now into Rutenberg. This is based on keeping it simple, stupid, right? The idea of having your guys play fast because they know exactly what they're doing. And you can only do that when you have really good players. Jared Verse is a very, very good player. He's very physical at the point of attack. He likes to play the run. You and I were talking yesterday. Poor Spencer Fano goes from Myles Garrett. Now he goes to this next guy who's it's not Myles Garrett. There is no Myles Garrett, but this is a really good football player. And he, along with the rest of those guys up front and this linebacking crew in the secondary, even though thin, if they can stay healthy, this is a really, really good defense. And being in a 4-3, I think you get more out of Jared Verse than you do in a 3-4. It just allows him to put his hand on the ground and go get the quarterback. Read that tackle, stop the run, and go get the quarterback. And that's kind of the goal, right? Win on first down, reward yourself by getting second and third and long and then go rush the passer. That's kind of what these pressure fronts are doing. And I think he's a perfect fit for what the Browns want to do defensively.
What a breakdown. That's why we have him on all the time. And that's also why he is becoming, if not already, one of the top football analysts in the area. Coach Riz, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good weekend. Thanks for having me.
All right, there he is on the Wise Heart Right. We make it right. Call Kyle Wright hotline. You heard what he said. He thinks both quarterbacks are faring well. He loves the install right now from Todd Monken, and he says he'd start Deshaun Watson based on what he's seen so far. We'll react to that. Plus, you know the Cavs are having a celebration coming up pretty soon. They're unfurling banners. They're trying to make this a Cavs town again. That's all straight ahead. Plus, Andrew Barry at 9 o'clock here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Roofing contractors in Northeast.
happened in the past don't mean anything. And if you're asking me who should start right now, I would say Deshaun Watson. It's about who gives me the best chance to win right now. So if you're asking me right now, it's Deshaun Watson. Everybody's talked about we know what Deshaun Watson's going to do in practice. He can't do it in games. And I've heard that narrative a bunch. And we've heard that, Shedeur is a gamer but can't do it in practice. I've seen Shedeur all summer, and I think he's a much better practice player than he was before, and he's closed that gap. And I think there was a gap.
All right, that was Coach Riz last segment. He's been out and seen every throw. He's been at camp. So he says Watson would be the starter if it were just up to him and you weren't weighing in any of our past bias. Daryl Ryder is in for Ken Carman. Andrew Berry, 15 minutes from now on the hotline, which means we got to get out and break at the right time because normally Andrew's very generous with his time. We're excited to have him on, and also your chance to win money from Fanatics coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. So, Daryl, you've been out there every day, too. You've talked to Coach Riz.
Yeah.
This is part of the reason people like me could never, no matter what I've argued with Ken in the past, I could never be a head coach because, in my mind, Deshaun Watson would be disqualified.
Right.
That's not how a real coach would operate. A real coach knows in the NFL you only get what you get, and it's really hard to upgrade your position. And Deshaun Watson's in the building. He's had experience. He's had plenty of new installs over the course of his career.
Yeah. New
offensive coaches. You guys are all telling me that he is flying around and looking athletic again.
Yeah. He does look healthy. Why I love spending so much time with Coach Riz on the practice field, besides the fact he's a great human being, is he's looking at practice through a completely different lens than I am. He's a coach, so he's looking at it through a coaching lens, and he's looking at, hey, this is why they're doing A, B, C, D, E, and E. This is what they're trying to accomplish here. This is, what may look like a negative play to me. He'll look at it and say, no, actually, that's a positive because they learned something from that situation. The number one thing that I notice as far as the difference right now between last year's practices and this year's, besides the fact that Shedeur Sanders is actually getting reps in practice during the offseason program, are the changes at the line of scrimmage. There's a lot of pre-snap stuff that's happening. There's a lot of responsibility on the quarterback. There's a lot of responsibility on the offensive line. And I think that that's a whole nother wrinkle that we just aren't used to seeing a lot of, partially because I think Kevin gave up on it because they couldn't do it. And Todd isn't. Todd is hammering it into these guys, and he's not afraid to stop a play if there's a mistake made or they didn't line up correctly or they didn't motion or shift correctly or whatever. He's not afraid to get after the quarterbacks if the football's not being put where it needs to be during the individual drills on a consistent basis so that the receivers can make plays. He's not afraid to get after the receivers if they're not running the route trees the way that Monken wants to see them run. So, there's been a lot of great things to watch out at practice. It's been entertaining is the wrong word. Captivating would probably be the word that I would use. Your eyes are just constantly glued to every little thing that they're doing out there. He's got now, Coach Riz. I'll say this: he's got a little more of an optimistic view on the quarterback situation than I do, mostly because, I've watched so many of these guys come through, so I've seen so many bad practices from former quarterbacks, and yes, both Deshaun and Shedeur have had bright spots, and you're like, whoa, this could be really, really good. The problem that I have trouble reconciling, and I think this is where Coach and I disagree and differ a little bit, is I have a problem with the negative stuff, the missed throw, the off-target throws. And
Why
things like
are you
that.
dwelling on the negative? Typical Cleveland media member covering the Browns. You guys are addicted to losing.
Trust me, I'm not addicted to losing, not one bit. I wish the Browns would do a little less of that. I wish they could find a guy that could quarterback a full season, that could quarterback multiple seasons. Oh, we had that for a moment. We got a breath of fresh air with Baker in that regard, but we can never seem to get past the "Are you available?" card before we can get into "Are you any good?" It's just, are you even available to start? But there have been pluses and minuses with these quarterbacks. They've just been inconsistent. They don't seem to carry it from practice to practice. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is why I struggle so much being on board with either one of these guys because neither one of them has taken the reins, and that is why we're sitting here right now, a day after the offseason program wraps, Anthony, and Todd Monken doesn't have a starting quarterback, and he's probably not going to have one. You're talking 3, maybe 4 weeks into training camp because the first week is a wash. They're not in pads.
Yeah.
Right? Second week, they get the pads on, but it's still the gradual thing. And so
that Buffalo joint practice, isn't that going to be, he'd love to have it before that, but isn't that where we're going to find out that's truly? Because that's even more important to me than a preseason game from, what will this look like when you actually start the season?
You get so much more out of a joint practice than you do a preseason game, in my view. Okay? Now, coaches will tell you the preseason games are important, but I think the joint practices, it can be a controlled environment. You can work on things, and you get a true view. I go back to the joint practice they had with the Minnesota Vikings in 2024, pre-Deshaun torn Achilles, and we were telling you how awful Deshaun looked and how awful the offensive line looked. They couldn't get lined up correctly. They couldn't get set. Flags were coming out left and right, okay? And then what happened that season? Well, Deshaun looked terrible, and the offensive line couldn't do their jobs. They couldn't line up. They couldn't get set. We got all the pre-snap penalties, right? So I feel like those joint practices give you a little bit of a true barometer of where your team is versus when you're going your offense against your defense.
When he talked about the actual identity of the offense.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to be very, very interesting. We sat here mired in, are they going to tailor the offense around Deshaun Watson in years past? Now,
I don't think you have to ask that question with Todd because Todd's whole history, what has made him so successful throughout his coaching career is his ability to adapt, his ability to not be stuck in a system. Kevin Stefanski was a system guy. You either fit or you don't. And I feel like with Todd, and his resume reflects it, he's not focused on his system. He's not so dead set in his ways.
Okay, so that's interesting. Is it going to be different depending on whether it's Deshaun or whether Shedeur?
I think they have similar skill sets, so I don't know that there needs to be a lot of variation. Both quarterbacks are mobile. Both quarterbacks can get the ball down the field. I think that you'll do some things to protect them a little bit as far as getting the ball out of their hands quickly, so screens, quick slants, things like that. Yeah, you're still going to stretch the field.
Yeah, but with Shedeur, with I should say Deshaun, part of what he brings to the table are some designed runs. Yes. Are we still doing that at this stage of his career?
Yeah, we are. But here's the thing: they're not just doing it with Deshaun, and this goes back to your question about, well, you're going to have two separate things you're going to do for each of these quarterbacks, and this is why I say no, because we've seen similar concepts being used for both Shedeur and Deshaun. The keepers, the designed runs, right? We've seen. I was standing on the sideline. They did one yesterday for Deshaun, and somebody said, "Yeah, I think that's how Deshaun got hurt last time." And I was like, "Yeah, so let's run it a bunch more."
Yeah, well, this is tough now because you're not preserving Watson anymore. You're not thinking about him long term. Shedeur, I don't know how many. I don't know. Am I seeing the same guy as everybody else? Like I've enjoyed watching him scramble. He's been better at that than I thought. But design runs for Shedeur,
they're intentionally.
His body, he avoided the injury last year and taking some nasty hits. I was impressed how he would get back up. But I don't think he is a guy that you want to have a whole bunch of design runs for.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the other thing that Todd is doing is they're doing a lot of extending the play simulation.
And he's good at
that. Because I asked Todd on, I think it was Wednesday, about that, because there was a series, and I'm like, these quarterbacks are holding the ball too long. And so before I just want to just criticize him for that, I asked Todd about it. And he said, no, that was absolutely by design because there are going to be plays where they have to extend it.
Awesome. Andrew Berry joins us next on the hotline. We've got a bevy of questions for him. That's straight ahead on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Anthony Lima for my new friends over at Expert Renovations. Justin, the CEO, and his group are doing just a fantastic job of actually backing up what they
in international bonus pool money. Don't miss Browns GM Andrew Berry. He's coming up next with Daryl and Anthony right here on The Fan. Headline Sports News every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Meredith Kane.
This is Browns head coach Todd Monken, and you're listening to the number one sports station in Cleveland, 92.3 The Fan.
All right, what a way to start the final hour of the show and final hour of the week. No, we're not leading in with coming in hot.
Yeah, but will Andrew come in hot?
Nobody's done an Andrew Berry impression yet on coming in hot. I'm just saying it hasn't been done before, so that'd be new territory. Joining us on the Weishart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline, Andrew Berry. That would be beneath him to be involved with coming in hot. We welcome the Cleveland Browns GM to the show. How are you, Andrew?
I'm doing well. How are you, Anthony?
Well, it's great to see you. Daryl is in for Kenny. Kenny was not ready for the hot seat. He wasn't ready for it, so he punted the responsibilities over to our Browns beat reporter, Dale Ryder, which I'm sure is just fine. Andrew, you take questions from everybody. You're fearless. You're a fearless leader at this point, 6 years in.
Yeah, I've had my share of tough questions, and you kind of get used to it in the gig at this point.
Well, you're going to get some tough questions when it comes to the quarterbacks, as I'm sure you're never going to get sick and tired of answering until we get that clarified over time. But in this case, it's interesting because you're dealing with a different head coach and somebody who is probably, at least I would think, somebody who's offering very different perspective because no two coaches are the same. What's that been like, having, somebody, maybe a different directive from a coach, somebody who's looking for something different while monitoring a quarterback competition?
Yeah, I think that's certainly like a consideration when you build out the team, and specifically with as much work as we did on the offense this spring. There's more than one way to have successful offensive football. And certainly Todd and Kevin, they have a lot of commonalities, but they also have their major differences in that regard. I think the other element that makes it a bit unique is the fact that, we really did a lot of work with the offensive infrastructure, not just with, the offensive scheme or a new coaching staff, but the players that surround the quarterback position as well. And I think that makes a big difference too.
Andrew, it's, our job to follow each and every throw and dissect each and every throw. But just because we might see something doesn't mean that's exactly what's happening on the field, or you guys are accomplishing what you want to. I'm just curious, how should we be evaluating this quarterback competition and these throws? And are you guys willing to just give us your daily grades? Can you make life easier on us so that because the accuracy is very important here. We want to be fair, but can you just, after every practice say, Deshaun's a B today, Shador's a B+. Like, can we get that?
So I'll tell you what, Daryl, I guess two things in that regard. I think number one, as I was preparing to come on, I was listening to a little bit of the show earlier, and I heard, it's the first time I've really heard Coach Riz. He was really impressive, and I think he gives a very intelligent and informed perspective, being a former coach, of what some of the things that you're trying to accomplish in the spring. I think there's this natural tendency to evaluate every throw, evaluate every practice, almost treat it like you're a day trader on the stock market, where we really more or less look at it as hey, the spring is a install and developmental period. We're not necessarily catering the offense or defense into what we're going to lean into in the fall. It's really putting things in, trying things, and then over a longer period of time, seeing how guys progress. Look, all players, they're going to have some level of failure and correction so they can actually get better. So every day isn't necessarily okay, hey, this player was to use your term, an A or a B or a C or something along those lines, because you take much more of a developmental mindset when you're in the spring relative to them when you get into the fall.
All right, well, one of the quarterbacks, Shador Sanders, has gone from the fifth rounder to fourth string to now a legitimate chance to compete for a starting job. So what can you say about his trajectory and his rise through the program?
I think he's had an excellent spring, Anthony. I mean, the past 8 to 10 weeks, and really probably beyond that, really the past 6 months with, as a rookie player, and particularly at quarterback, you learn a lot your first year, and especially if you don't start a full season, start 6, 7, or I guess you start 7 games, and you kind of go through the year. It's adjustment going to the NFL, and then you get a chance to catch your breath and say, okay, well, here are the things I need to work on. Here are the things I need to learn. And I think he did a phenomenal job this offseason. That really started in January and February. And then certainly as we got into having, real practices in May, his growth has been tremendous. So we're all very excited to see, Shador's, fall camp, preseason, things of that nature when we get into padded situations, live situations, less scripted. But his growth has truly been phenomenal.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson is the other guy in the competition here, Andrew. If all goes well with him and he wins this competition and he plays well for the Browns this fall, do you see a world where he is the Browns quarterback into the future, and are you open to giving him a contract extension?
Yeah, I think everything's on the table. I think it would be silly to go into a season and say, hey, something absolutely can or cannot happen. And I think particularly at the quarterback position, right? Like we've seen it with guys, whether it's Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones or Geno Smith or, even Baker after he left us in Carolina. And so I think you have to be open-minded and flexible. But I wouldn't rule out anything. We're looking for guys who can perform and who can lead.
Now, we have a really unique situation with Deshaun, just given everything we know about him and everything that he has worked through to try to get back on the field. And then the owner had the swing and the miss comments. Does that sometimes make it a little tougher on the coach or maybe you when an owner says something like that publicly? I imagine you're having those conversations behind the scenes as well.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think you deal with what you have. You deal with how players progress or don't progress. But honestly, the public discourse, doesn't really have a factor in terms of how we think about either putting together the team or Todd in terms of putting together the best lineup. That really doesn't play a factor into it.
Andrew Berry joined us on the hotline, the Browns GM. So you lose these players for 5-6 weeks, and a lot of them will go back with maybe their personal trainers, maybe their personal coaches. And I've always been fascinated by how a team feels about that. Do you have to get aligned with, say, a quarterback coach to make sure that they are going over the same stuff that's consistent with your point of view and with your philosophies? Or do you just let them have their private time and whatever helps them and their personal growth?
I think it's a combination. I think that, one, we pride ourselves on having really strong relationships and great communication, and not just with the quarterbacks, but with all, you really have guys that go to like different pockets. You have like your kind of Florida crew, your Dallas crew, your West Coast crew, your Arizona crew, and then a couple, one-offs, if you will. And we do a really nice job of maintaining contact and communication with those groups, so we're all aligned and on the same page because we all want the same thing. We want the player to be, at his best, and that's like year round. It's not it's not narrow to a certain point in the year, but there also is an element, probably like everybody in their jobs or their profession, where there are some things that you need to work on at let's say at an individual level or at like a personal level. And so, like, we understand that, and as long as it's, like, directionally correct with the things that we need to do schematically or programmatically, that's never really an issue.
Andrew, you shocked the NFL and some of us trading Myles Garrett to the Los Angeles Rams. You have been adamant that was not something that you were setting out to do. But when you made the contract tweak earlier this offseason, can you admit that maybe we didn't make too much of that?
No, that was not. It had no. The reason we made the contract had nothing to do with trading Myles. I can say that. Like the side effect was it caused LA to reach out, but it had absolutely zero to do with the idea of trading Miles.
Were you disappointed that Miles showed up for Rams OTAs but not Browns OTAs?
I didn't actually notice that. I would imagine that's the case with like, okay, hey, you're learning a new scheme. I think they had a week of OTAs practice. You're learning, new building, new coaches, new teammates, new system. Miles has a pretty disciplined regimen, that he does in Dallas, and he's done that for like the latter part of his career. We have a voluntary program. He was always in shape. That was never something that really bothered us.
All right, Andrew, the owner always has to sign off, I imagine, on the big ticket items, but there need to be a little more convincing on this one.
I'd say this, like anytime that you're making a big organizational decision, you want to make sure that you're factoring in all considerations. But as we work through it, it became pretty clear to us that this was a fantastic opportunity, both in the short and long term, for the team. And so at that point, it really became about okay, well, if we get the deal that would make sense for us, then how do we execute this in the most professional and thoughtful way as possible?
Jared Verse was obviously the player that you really wanted. You've not been shy about that, Andrew, in expressing that. Is he wrecking practice? I lost count of the volume of times that he was in the backfield while Todd Monken's trying to get these quarterbacks to run some 11-on-11.
I'll be honest, with the guys up front, it's really tough this time of year. One, because you don't have pads, and then two, because we try and, have the right balance of getting good work in, but also making sure that we're always compliant, from an OTA off-season perspective, that, I don't know that you can get a great feel. I mean, towards the end, really the guys were told, and I should back up, because we're an attacking front where it's getting off the ball, being disruptive in the backfield, it makes it harder to do that in team periods. So we get to a point where we say, hey, look, guys, take 3 steps and then shut it down, because we don't want bodies on the ground. We don't want guys around the quarterback. And ultimately, we don't want to get in trouble with, the NFLPA or the union with the practice pace. And so it's a little bit tough with the bigs. We'll get a better sense, in camp, but we're Jared, his explosiveness, his speed, his motor, that's all there. And he'll be pretty hard to block once we get into padded situations.
Why was it so important for you to get Jared in that trade?
For us, it's because, a lot of these, particularly these non-quarterback superstar trades, you've seen them largely just come in the form of essentially pick currency. And that, that's fine at certain moments, but it makes it really tough when you're going into season, because you're truly just trading present for future. Usually, unless you're super deep at the position, you're really creating a hole in the roster present day. A player like Jared Verse usually doesn't become available across the league. A guy who's on his rookie contract, he plays a position that's hard to find, and he's an excellent player at the position. And so for us, we looked at it as an opportunity where it's okay, we're getting one of the, top players at the position in the league, understanding that he's not Miles. There's only one Myles Garrett, which allows us to continue to play excellent defense, and a player who will, barring unforeseen circumstances, be with us for a very long period of time. It's not like you're just getting 1 year out of the player, in addition to, premium draft capital. That's really what made it important. Kind of this, if you will, 2 timelines, approach, with what you're receiving in the trade package.
I know you guys are never going to be concerned with national media narratives or perspective on this, but you knew it would happen once Verse got traded to the Browns. It was, he's got to be so annoyed going from a Super Bowl contender. What can you say, or how can you dispel that after talking to him and seeing the energy and the excitement that he's had since putting on the helmet?
Yeah, he was, honestly, the first phone call coming back from the golf outing, he was super fired up. And I think people forget that, like, his hometown is Dayton, Ohio. His sister's still in Dayton. It's a homecoming of sorts to him. And then I think, the second part is, he had not been as part of a defensive group that was as talented as he's coming into now, particularly like with the back end. So he's excited about that. And then the third piece is he was super excited about the scheme because it's tailor-made for him where he can just go attack. There's less on the plate of the edge defender. Like, he's not going to be, necessarily dropping into coverage. He doesn't have to, like, read and react. He can just go. Defensive linemen love playing in this scheme, and they particularly love playing this scheme when you have a back end as strong as ours, because quite honestly, it gives them more sack opportunities.
Andrew, I want to ask you about these young receivers. Two of them you drafted, another one you signed during training camp last year, Isaiah Bond, Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion. Do you have to temper your enthusiasm this time of year when it comes to watching these guys catching footballs and they're sprinting down the field the way they are?
You do a little bit, Daryl, because you're right. All three of them have had excellent springs. And the way Denzel and Casey have hit the ground running has been impressive. And then IB, just, with him getting a full offseason under his belt, it's been great. It's been great to see. We thought highly of all three of those players coming out. They're very talented and hardworking individuals. You can tell more from the skill positions in the spring, right? Because there's a little less context that changes once you get on pads. There is some difference. Like, we're not playing press coverage. They're not having those bang plays where they're on the ground. So there will be some things that we still need to see, and we're mindful of that. But it's been a really nice start for those three guys.
Andrew Berry, Browns GM, joining us right now. We know about the orange dot that the organization uses to talk about prioritizing elite character. But when we have a college player that committed the mortal sin and fessed up to it, plus there's more allegations about gambling, how does that factor in to prioritizing something like that, whether or not he was going to be available in a supplemental draft or next year in the draft when it comes to it?
I think there are two things. I think there are two questions I ask because we're all human, and I'd imagine everybody that's on this call and listening to this show, I'm sure everyone has made mistakes. I think I really ask two questions. I ask, number one, is this a bad person or did they make a bad decision? And then the second piece is like, okay, what are they doing after the fact, whether it's to correct the behavior? Like, is this a pattern of decision making? And if so, have they done something to stop the pattern, or is this an isolated incident? Because the reality of it is, like, we're all going to screw up, and some certainly mistakes are greater in magnitude than others. But I think, the most important thing, in Brendan's case is like what he does from here. Obviously it's a great first step, to get the help that he needs. But then it's like, okay, what is around him? What is he doing to make sure that, like, he can maintain healthy habits moving forward? And so it seems like it's a very good start there. Obviously, I don't know all the details at this point. But I think probably, within society, so to speak, I think we could all stand to use a little bit more grace.
Andrew, how important is it, or how much consideration do you give it to your quarterback, I should say, about being the face of the franchise? How important is that to you in your process? I know it can't obviously affect the on-the-field evaluation, but is that something that enters into your mind when you're looking at that position and maybe a player that has a little bit of a checkered past in some of those red flags?
Yeah, look, I think it certainly makes it easier because quarterback is naturally a leadership position. But I also think probably the more important things, Daryl, are internal leadership. So how does this player prepare? How do they relate to their teammates? How do they relate? Are they coachable to the coaching staff? Are they an anchor in those tough moments in the game? Because that's the stuff that actually makes the biggest impact. And those are the people, that's the biggest constituency that individual has to lead and serve. So that's really more the priority than, what I would say is like maybe the more like marketability piece of things. But you like to have everything. Like you like to have everything ideally, but very few players fit that bill.
All right. Yesterday, Andrew, we had on Joel Bitonio, who was so thankful of the send-off that he received from the organization this week, and also so thankful for his years in Cleveland. But he also did admit if the team was, in a real contention window, that he probably would have come back. How does it make you feel when you hear somebody as celebrated and important to the fabric of who the Browns are say something like that?
Well, one, I didn't hear him say it, but two, I got to say this: we're very thankful for Joel's time in Cleveland, and he obviously played real well, but he was also a great ambassador for the organization. As we move forward, we're really excited about our team. We think we have a really, really good young core that we're excited to see them grow and develop. And I would not put a ceiling on a team in a given year. I always make the point, if we rewound a year ago, I don't think very many people were saying New England would be in the Super Bowl or Jacksonville would win 13 games or, Chicago, would win the division. And likewise, I don't know that very many people were saying, Kansas City and Washington and Cincinnati would be picking in the top 10. So that's the beauty of sports, that you never really know how it's going to go. And I think for us, what's exciting, particularly with young teams, you never know when guys are going to hit their stride. Usually, you have the opportunity to be surprised in the positive end of the spectrum. So we're excited about the fall and really focus on the guys that we have in hand.
Well, one of the things that you have tried to do since coming back to Cleveland, Andrew, is really enhance the internal collaboration and that process at all levels of the organization. I am curious, though, when you're making big decisions, roster moves, et cetera, how do you consult any of the guys in the locker room? Do you talk to players about that to take their temperature as to maybe how something like that might be received?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, and this is one thing that I learned particularly from Howie, being in Philly. I think that I don't think it's a healthy dynamic to just have this barrier between, management and the locker room. And I think we all realize there are some things that have to remain confidential, but players are just people, and many times they can be partners in the success of the organization, especially guys that are your core players, longer tenured, and quite honestly, understand the bigger picture, some of the different dynamics. So those are absolutely conversations that we have.
All right, Andrew, you've been more than generous with your time. Just one final fun one before you get out. I'm so curious, the dynamic of working with certain individuals like Daryl asked you about, but going from Kevin, who is kind of in your age bracket, to somebody like Todd Monken. Does he belie his age, his generation? What is it like working with him? And obviously he's kind of famous for being uncensored at all times.
It's interesting because it's funny. I was actually talking about this the other day. It's interesting on two fronts. One, I think if you're leading in a public facing role, right? Like you're a head coach. I often think that partly because of maybe the whatever perception or whatever your approach with the media, oftentimes the perception of the individual can be a lot different than how they are behind closed doors. And I actually think there are a lot more commonalities than people realize between Todd and Kevin. Both super smart, both have incredible senses of humor, both have really good people skills. Style certainly may be a little bit different, but I was telling about Todd, it was after yesterday's team, kind of last team meeting. I said, the cool thing about Todd is he's secure and authentically himself. He's incredibly funny. And like he's like, this may seem weird for people just because like he just had his 60th birthday, but like he's cool. Like he's really cool. And like I think that's actually what that's really what allows him to connect with like really pretty much everybody in the building, but particularly the players. Like the players love him because of that. So like he's really fun. I feel like I've been very blessed that I've worked with two head coaches who are smart. They're really good people, and they have incredible senses of humor that make it fun to work with them because you deal with so many tough and hard moments when you're in these roles.
All right, Andrew, I appreciate it. Look forward to doing this again and enjoy some time off. Much deserved.
Appreciate it, guys. You guys take it easy, all right?
All right, there he is, Andrew Berry, Browns GM, more than gracious with his time. Couple things, because we got to go. We're way behind. Appreciate 25-plus minutes with the Browns GM. Says everything's on the table with Deshaun Watson if he plays well this year, meaning, yes, contract extension. I wonder how people feel about that. Also, some real compassion. Use the term grace for what Brendan Sorsby is going through. Very different from what Todd Monken said. And he says he didn't know Myles Garrett attended the OTAs the very first chance he got. Voluntary OTAs with the Rams. We'll get your reaction next on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Steak is for dads.
We do it every Friday. Winnie hits different. Here, Daryl in for Ken Carman. We just had Andrew Berry, and got to play this. This was what we asked Andrew Berry when it came to, hey, could you have Mr. Deshaun Watson around a little longer than you think?
Are you open to giving him a contract extension?
Yeah, I think everything's on the table. I think it would be silly to go into a season and say, hey, something absolutely can or cannot happen. And I think particularly at the quarterback position, we've seen it with guys, whether it's Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones or Geno Smith or, even Baker. I think you have to be open-minded and flexible. But I wouldn't rule out anything. We're looking for guys who can perform and who can lead.
Even Baker, he threw in there. What was your read on that? Certainly didn't have to say anything when it came to that.
Yeah, I mean, it brought me back to when they made the original trade and gave him the fully guaranteed $230 million contract, in the sense of when Andrew spoke at that initial press conference about, hey, they viewed that more than just a 5-year investment. They looked at that as a long-term multi-contract type of a gamble. Gamble's the wrong word at the time, but now it's a gamble, right? With the results being what they are. But yeah, if Deshaun wins this job, which I do think he will win the job, the question is he going to play well enough? But if he does play well enough, like, let's look at the glasses half full here. If Deshaun goes out there and shows he can still play at a high level in this league, right? Then I agree with Andrew. I mean, you can't speak in absolutes there. You can't say, no, we're taking the off-ramp next.
How well would he have to play for him to legitimately
for me,
stick around? I almost feel like it's an impossible bar.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way, but he'd absolutely have to play like a top 10 quarterback in the league. And if he does play like a top 10 quarterback in the league, guess what? You're competing for the division.
What was my facial expression just now when you said top 10 quarterback?
Well, he played like a top 10 quarterback the last time that he played well, right? And they won 4 games in Houston.
Right.
So I don't know that just because his numbers say something. He has to not only play well, but it has to lead them on a playoff run.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's not impossible, but it's next to near improbable, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have no expectations of it. And again, that's not hating on Deshaun. That's just the reality of what he's been through and all the time he has missed in the last 6 years. He's played 19 games in 6 years. How can I sit here and hype up fans and tell them to expect that after all of that Deshaun is going to go out there and he's going to perform at a high level and he's going to lead the Browns to a bunch of wins this fall and they're going to be in playoff contention, all that. I just, not with any semblance of credibility can those words come out of my mouth, because number one, I don't feel like that's even fair to Deshaun Watson to say.
But even if he does come do all that, right? Like, he got this contract from this team. He can't get another contract like that. Even if it is you have to live in that realm that, okay, they made the playoffs and he played like a top quarterback and all that, right?
Right.
They can't give him another contract like that. It's got to be something like what Baker got the second contract with the Bucks, where he came in on the 1-year deal and then to get like 3 years, $100 million, which it's going to be a little more than that. But Patrick Mahomes just reset the market there where it's 63 or something a year, 67 a year. It's not going to be anywhere near that right now. So.
Well, Baker's looking to get north of 50 with the Buccaneers, and they're far apart. But look, the quarterback
I'd rather run that one back and go through all that again than do what, even if Deshaun's good, I'd still rather have Baker.
But my point, Owen, the quarterback pay scale is the quarterback pay scale. It just that's
not really.
Well, yeah, but you have to. What's the market?
You've been that bad for however long he's been bad.
Yeah, I understand. You got to think about what is the legitimate market,
right,
for someone like him, because
are there going to be other teams in the playing?
Has he rehabilitated his image here in Cleveland? I don't.
Your worst nightmare, though, is
he hasn't done it nationally.
Yeah, your worst nightmare is that you went through this for 5 years with him, okay, and he goes somewhere else and he's back to being the guy he was in Houston. That's your worst nightmare.
You know what? I'm still sleeping easy at night, even if he goes somewhere else and he's back to that old Houston guy. I don't care. I want to be done with it.
Yeah, like Baker, we sat here and talked about. Well, he bottomed out afterwards,
and the regrets and all
that. But there are still people. It didn't matter whether he bottomed out or whatever. They were still following every throw, and even now, like they
wants
take
him back.
Right, but I don't think that would be the case
over Deshaun Watson. I didn't say it all.
Okay, fair. Okay,
got to listen to all the words.
Yeah, I don't think even if he moved on and won 12 games next year somewhere else, I think everybody would just say we had to move on.
Yeah,
it was okay to move on. You have this rookie class next year. Maybe it's Shedeur takes the reins here. Whatever it is,
Yeah, the difference between Baker and Deshaun, though, Baker was just not good at football at the time. Yeah. There's a lot more with Deshaun than that.
I'm all about them hitting that off ramp with Deshaun as quickly as possible.
All right, we got to give it up to David and Willoughby. If you could punch him up, a miraculous winner. This is the third or fourth week running that we have a new winner here on our Fanatics Big Time Friday.
It's Fan Cash Friday.
It is the Fan Cash, right? David, you're a winner. Right after the GM, Andrew Berry, came on and joined us. Now David and Willoughby joins us.
What's up, guys?
All right, you won $100. I don't know, maybe if you want to pour that back into Browns tickets after hearing Andrew Berry.
Yeah.
What stuck out to you, David?
Honestly, I just jumped in the car halfway through that towards the end, and I did not catch anything except the winning fan thing. And
amazing. You know what, David? Serendipitous moment for you. We appreciate you calling up, and that's what we do. We give away winners here on Friday. You don't even have to hear the Andrew Berry interview. Doesn't matter. You could still win.
Show up when it's time, guys.
You just show up when it's
Who
time.
cares? Treat it like OTAs.
That was what Myles Garrett said he would do. And then, he showed up to OTAs, and then Andrew Berry said he didn't pay attention to that. All right, when we come back, 216-474-0092, did you hear how differently he answered the Brendan Sorsby question compared to his head coach, Todd Monken? Might have to play those back-to-back. Very different answers, some real compassion coming from the GM. Final segment next on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. It is Anthony Lima for Fanatic Sports.
The Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Well, one, I didn't actually notice that. I would imagine that's the case with, like, okay, hey, you're learning a new scheme. I think they had a week of OTAs practice. You're learning, new building, new coaches, new teammates, new system. Miles has a pretty disciplined regimen that he does in Dallas, and he's done that for, like, the latter part of his career. We have a voluntary program. He was always in shape. That was never something that really bothered us.
All right, that was your GM, Andrew Berry. I saw a lot of people saying there's no way he's being truthful on the Myles Garrett stuff, whether it's the contract or not seeing that he showed up the first chance he got.
There's no chance that he had no idea that Myles Garrett showed up for Rams OTAs.
You know what? Maybe he was just avoiding everything, and he's like, I'll be reminded about it either way. I don't really need to be all in. I don't have to have remember the Google alerts back in the day? I don't have to worry about it.
You know what would have been funnier is if he would have just been like, you know what? I'm on to the 2026 season. Or I'm on to Jacksonville. Like, just pull a Bill Belichick there. I'm on to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I do find him... when he gets in the nitty-gritty, like I heard him on Peter Schrager's...
I'm on to my next trade.
Yeah, well, that could be the next thing he's fielding calls about. I heard him on Peter Schrager's podcast, and he was breaking down the NBA, and I'm like, he could be a GM tomorrow. Yeah. I know that obviously Sashi Brown...
He's a big
Hoops
went
back
fan.
And forth. He could clearly do that, and there's a lot of similarities. Now, he made an NBA trade getting Jared Verse back.
The Cavs need a GM right now, don't they?
Yes. Yes, they do. They're looking at least one internal candidate. I know that. But, still, we know who's running the show there. Daryl's in for Kenny. Last segment. I thought it was very, very interesting how different his answer was on Brennan Sorsby. Listen to the compassion. He used the term grace, saying that we oftentimes are a little too harsh when players make mistakes. In fact,
you want to hear Monken first?
Well, yeah, I want to do that in a second here because Andrew Berry said that you have to weigh whether somebody's a bad person or made a bad decision. We know how Todd Monken felt about it when he first was asked about Brendan Sorsby. The Todd Monken.
Not at all. I mean, that's not even come across my desk. I don't think we're in a position to want to go down that road. That's my opinion. That's not Andrew's. And that I like the quarterbacks that we have. I think that's a slippery slope when you go down that, irrespective of talent, right? In terms of the situation he's put himself in. Like we all know what that is. He put himself in that situation. And we've seen in other sports with players that have been banned for life from playing in professional sports. I think that's a slippery slope to go down that road. Again, that's a question for Andrew and for management. But from my end of it, kind of a tough angle to go down that road and think that that's going to be your franchise quarterback if he's ever eligible to even play in the NFL.
All right, so that's the coach.
Was also at the golf outing before the courts had made a decision on anything.
Yep.
And also the day that they subsequently traded Myles Garrett. So
a lot going on. Yes, but Todd was tough talking, and here's his GM moments ago.
I really asked two questions. I asked, number one, is this a bad person or did they make a bad decision? And then the second piece is like, okay, what are they doing after the fact, whether it's to correct the behavior? Like, is this a pattern of decision making? And if so, have they done something to stop the pattern, or is this an isolated incident? Because the reality of it is, like, we're all going to screw up. And some certainly mistakes are greater in magnitude than others. The most important thing, in Brendan's case is like what he does from here. Obviously, it's a great first step to get the help that he needs, but then it's like, okay, what is around him? What is he doing to make sure that like he can maintain healthy habits moving forward? And so it seems like it's a very good start there. Obviously, I don't know all the details at this point, within society, so to speak. I think we could all stand to use a little bit more grace.
Very different answers from the two of them. Now, look, Brent Sorsby right now is eligible to play football at Texas Tech. And we'll see what happens is all sorts of administrators and athletic directors are trying to prevent this from happening. But if he plays this year and battles all of this that's going around, and he's not a victim, like he did this, like this is his fault. But now he has to battle that. If he comes out on the other side and it's like a Heisman candidate and playing in the playoffs and top 5 pick. This conversation gets a lot more real.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, too. This isn't an isolated incident. This wasn't a one-time screw-up, as Andrew put it there. And I think that's the difference. It is a pattern of behavior. Now, he said that he's been treated for a gambling addiction.
Do you think he's a bad person or made a series of bad decisions?
No, I think he made a series of bad decisions.
9,000 bad decisions. That's how many bets he made.
I do agree with Andrew. You can be a good person and make bad decisions. Okay? Like that happens in life. But also, too, you need to learn from the bad decisions as well.
Okay.
But there's he cited addiction in this, right? That's part of his claim with this, and that is a whole different factor.
Well, I can just tell you, there's a lot of people, basically the majority of people, and it's a very loud majority of people that don't believe that in this case. They think he's just doing it to avoid penalty. The rehab stuff.
I can't sit here and say that.
Neither of us.
I understand why folks feel that way.
It's not really for us to say.
Right.
Only he would truly know that. But that's also what the GMs and the coaches have to figure out.
Right.
Is he really reformed after all is said and done? Does he feel bad about it? Has he learned from it? This stuff followed Art Schlichter forever because he couldn't kick the addiction.
All I know is I want the vacated Ohio State season reinstated now.
Oh, you're going there?
Yes, I'm going there.
You're saying what? The gold pants?
Yes.
Situation or the no-show job situation? Or, well, we could go on and on. The NCAA is very different.
Can Jim Tressel get his job back? Is it too late?
Well, I think he's gone on to bigger and better.
He has.
That Jim Tressel.
I'd just like to say that all Cavs conversations are brought to you by Surfside Hard Iced Tea.
Doing a 10-year celebration, and I'm hearing a lot of chatter. I'm hearing the honest stuff, not dead. Also, when our Browns beat reporter, Daryl Ryder, joins the show, his appearances are brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. How'd you feel about it today, Daryl?
A lot of fun. I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Okay. Very good. Baskin and Phelps coming up next. Kenny returns on Monday for Big Country, for Andrew Berry, and Coach Riz, and Tall Boy Friday with real tall boys now, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Triples.
Baskin and Phelps coming up next here on 92.3 The Fan. So long.
It's not the greatest ever, but that's okay because I'm on to my